The Evansville Otters and Schaumburg Boomers look to finally get this three-game set started here on a Wednesday night from historic Bosse Field. Good evening, folks. I'm Matthew Will, joining you here on the Otters Digital Network. Our friend Kyle Chandler, unable to make it tonight, a slight inconvenience with his day, and we hope to have him back tomorrow evening. We'll get on to the game. The Schaumburg Boomers enter this game 34-32, not the start they expected coming out of the All-Star break. A team that was firmly in a playoff spot and kind of looked like they were going to be one of the teams in the West Division to not only chase, but also a team that could potentially fight for that first seed. However, a poor start to the second half means that the Boomers are going to have some work to do as they enter this game 3.5 games back of a playoff spot. The Otters on the other side are at the bottom of the West Division, still with work to do, but certainly the horizons have been darker than they are now. A great start to the second half of the year. First, they get a series win against the top team in the West, the Washington Wild Things. They head on the road to Florence, grab a first game victory, but then fall in those last three games. They come right back home, sweep Lake Erie, and one of the most exciting series of the entire season. And now a prime opportunity to take out another team that sits above them in the standings. It's an interesting situation for the Otters because every team above them in that West Division, they have games with just about every team left. So if you want to best them, you're going to have to beat them. And that's the story for this Evansville Otters club. Schaumburg, as I said, enters the game just 2 games over 500. They are chasing the Gateway Grizzlies, who to this point have had a pretty solid start of their second half of the season. Since that All-Star break, 7-3. In fact, they've done enough to move past Lake Erie. Part of that because the Crushers were unable to get things done here in Evansville. Everybody, however, chasing that Washington Wild Things team, 44-22, and they have, outside of that series against Evansville, pretty much picked up where they left off before the All-Star break. As I mentioned, Lake Erie in that third spot, they're at 6.5 games back of the division lead, but also 3.5 games shy of Schaumburg. So they are in that playoff spot, and for the time being, don't have to worry about too much. Florence, another team you're going to have to keep an eye on. Though they're just 3 games under 500, they have had an 8-2 last 10 games, a great start to the second half of the season for those y'all. Same thing with the Windy City Thunderbolts. Bobby Jinks leading his team to war, and they have done really good in this second half so far. 8-2 for them as well, and they are right there as well. 9.5 games back out of a playoff spot. The T-Bolts could be a team to keep an eye on as we approach the end of August. Joliet, however, on the wrong side of things. 2-8 to start this second half of the season. 28-39 their record. And the Slammers certainly with some work to do as we end this second half. The Otters, of course, 27-40. And it's kind of control your own destiny in the opportunities right now. There is going to be some help that they're going to need up above, but as of right now, you can only worry about winning the games that are in front of you. Over there on the east side, however, it's still Quebec's to lose. 4.5 games up on the Titans. The Boulders already lost today, and because of that, they've lost another game. They actually lost to the Windy City Thunderbolts, who picked up a very important win to start, or in the middle game of that series. So there's a couple of really interesting storylines to keep an eye on here as we enter this second half of the Frontier League. We'll turn the page to our game and walk you through our starting lineups. First for the visiting Schaumburg Boomers. They enter the game at 34-32 and are led off by Christian Fedko, the right fielder. Brett Milazzo mans center field and will bat lefty as number 2. Chase Dawson and David Harris follow at 3 and 4. David Harris just in his third game for the Boomers and a average that is below the Mendoza line. So certainly a opportunity for him to prove that he belongs in this lineup. Former Otter from earlier this year, Anthony Calarco, in that 5th spot before Paxton Wallace, Aaron Simmons, and Jake Meyer man the 6, 7, 8. Tyler DePretta Johnson, probably the best defensive shortstop in this entire league, sits down there in the 9-hole, and it's Jacob Smith on the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers. The lefty was slated to go today, so they'll stick with that. On the other side, the Otters will go with their opener, Terrence Marin, who was supposed to go last night. He will continue to man that opening day or opening night spot of this series, and he will pitch this evening. As for the lineup with the Otters, it remains Delvin Zinn at the top. Boy, has he been a ton of fun to watch. Had a couple errors in the first couple of games out in the field, but he immediately locked it down, both with his glove and especially with his bat. He has been a really fun guy to watch all the way around the lineup, and because of it, he's earned himself that top spot in quite a few games so far. Gary Mattis, good to have him back in Evansville. He's in the 2-hole, manning center field. Paven Parks, who picked up a save in the last game here on the mound on Sunday night against Lake Erie. He'll return to his usual spot at shortstop. Randy Bednar back in the lineup. He's out and left. Certainly exciting to see him back in the order. Dakota Phillips mans the right side of the infield. Mindham will be the designated hitter before Felix, White, and Adams round things out. Adams back in the lineup after a couple of games off. Only one transaction for the Otters today, as Jake Green was dealt to the American Association and the Sioux City Explorers for a player to be named later. Certainly good luck to Jake Green on his next step of his baseball career. We loved having him here in Evansville, and I know that it was obviously a move that was going to be the best for his career and give him an opportunity to succeed and hopefully move up to the next level like all of these guys. Jake, great having you in town, and good luck with the next step of your baseball career. We are narrowing closer and closer to our first pitch here in Evansville. As you can see on your screen, if you happen to be joining us on Flow Baseball, our umpires are taking to the field now, and we are getting our managers meeting as we narrowly get closer towards our first pitch. We'll turn our attention to the mounds and Evansville, as we'll give you a little bit more on Terrence Marin, who's down in that right field bullpen getting himself set. He's had 4 starts so far in an Otters jersey. In fact, it's been 10 years since he pitched for the Otters. Back in 2014, he was in Indy Ball, and he's bounced around throughout affiliated ball as well as the Mexican League in the last few years. Good to have him back here in the River City and back on the mound at historic Bosse Field. He's had 4 starts so far this year. This is number 5, and he's looking for his second quality start of the season. The Otters have not been able to win a game he has started yet, so that is certainly a stone he would like to flip over, and he has averaged just over 5 innings per start that he has had. He's got a 5.57 Ks per 9. Not bad for a guy that is returning to Indy Ball, as it is a little bit of a adjustment for a guy like him. As for run support, he's got about 4 runs per game from his offense. That's pretty typical of this Otters offense. If they could get 4 runs, that's exactly what he's going to need through 5 innings in order to keep himself in a winning position. This is a very good Schaumburg Boomers team. You can't give them an inch. They're going to take a mile, and that goes for their hitting as well as their pitching staff. We'll take a second as well to dive a little deeper into Jacob Smith, the lefty starter for the Boomers this evening. He's allowed 3 runs or less in his last 5 outings this year, and the team is 5-3 when he starts. He has been excellent on the road as well. It's his 5th appearance of the season on the road, and on the road he has a 1-1 record and a 6.43 ERA. His starts at home and his appearances at home, because he did come out of the bullpen, is significantly better at home at a 2.90 ERA. But he's been a solid arm for them on the road, and in this league, if you can win on the road, you put yourself in a great opportunity to move up the order. He is the tallest player on the roster at 6'7". He weighs 235, and he's a first-year pro out of Calera, Alabama. In fact, he spent this last season with the University of West Alabama, and now is getting his first taste of pro ball. So far this year, the Otters, with just 3 games against Schaumburg, they have not seen Jacob Smith yet. So an opportunity to get a new eye on a new guy. And, of course, because of that, it gives you the opportunity to kind of surprise someone. If you can read those pitches around the first time around the order and get on top of them quickly, it gives you an opportunity to take a lead early. And that's going to be very vital against a team like Schaumburg. They are getting just about set to conclude our managers meeting, and shortly after that we will have our national anthem, as we're bringing you Evansville Otters baseball here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Baseball. Glad you're joining us here this evening, and if you have joined us since we kicked off, Matthew Will joining you here on the Otters Digital Network. Our friend Kyle Chandler unable to join us this evening, as he had a slight inconvenience on his way back to the ballpark this afternoon, so he is taking the evening off just to get everything in order, and he should be back tomorrow night. So have no fear, Kyle is all right and in good spirits and should be back tomorrow night. The managers meeting has concluded, and they are introducing our starting lineup here in the next couple of minutes. We are going to take a quick opportunity to walk you through what has already happened in the Frontier League today, as it is a middle day of a series. There are still a few teams that are getting in some of those day games that are kind of summer camp style days, or potentially even getting closer to the opening of the school year. Some day games for that as well. Washington got a 5-2 win at Joliet. They've won the series with that win. Windy City, 8-4 win against the New York Boulders. Great game for the T-Bolts. In fact, they carried a no-hitter into the 7th inning. Will Armbruster ended up allowing all 4 runs in 8.1 innings of work, but he had a no-no going into that 7th inning. It ended on a solo home run. He struck out 7 in the game. Certainly a dangerous Windy City team right now. They have won a lot of games, and they have been doing it in commanding fashion. There is a postponement in our league as New England and Tri-City will play a doubleheader tomorrow starting at 4 p.m. due to rain in that Tri-City area. Lake Erie and Florence have just gotten started. It is the bottom of the 2nd inning, and the Lake Erie Crushers up 3-0 at the Florence Yells there in Florence, Kentucky. Another game postponed. Ottawa at Trois-Rivières will not happen tonight as the Eagles de Trois-Rivières had rain in that area. They'll have a doubleheader tomorrow as well at 5:05. That'll be Eastern time. We will also have a doubleheader here in Evansville at 5:05 Central time here tomorrow. In the top of the 4th inning, the Quebec Capitales trail the Sussex County Miners 5-1. Could be a huge win for Sussex County, something they could kind of hang their hats on as they enter the second half as well. Top of the 4th there. In the top of the 2nd inning, the Gateway Grizzlies lead the New Jersey Jackals 1-0. New Jersey is over there in Sauget for this week, and then they will head here to Evansville for a weekend series for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's our first chance to see the Jackals here in Evansville. Certainly looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table this year. Despite a rough year thus far, they're at 23-43, but they have gotten some wins in bunches here in the last couple of weeks. So eager to see what happens there with the Gateway Grizzlies. They had an 11-1 win last night. We'll keep you updated as we go out throughout tonight's game. We'll take a break for the national anthem. On the other side, it's Evansville Otters baseball here from historic Bosse Field. Boomers, Otters, coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network. Rue Martin with our national anthem, and it is time for baseball here from historic Bosse Field. Not able to get it done last night due to the rain that came through. It was some of the heaviest winds I've ever seen here in Evansville, at least in my couple of years here in this city, as the winds blowing out of that northwest were so strong that we could barely see the outfield wall here. So it was an unfortunate occurrence that we weren't able to get baseball in, but we'll play a doubleheader tomorrow starting at 5:05, and it means we are ready for baseball here tonight at 6:35. Then we had rain pop up tonight, and then we get pushed back tonight about 30 minutes. We are slated for a 7:05 first pitch. Looks like we should get started within a minute of that starting time. Again, we say thank you for joining us here on either Flow Baseball or the Otters Digital Network. Our normal voice of the Otters, Kyle Chandler, not joining us tonight, but he will be back tomorrow. And thank you for joining us here. Matthew Will joining you in the commentary booth. Otters are going to wear their home white jerseys with blue Otters scripted across the front. On the back, the blue numbers. As for the Boomers, they will wear the black tops, gray bottoms with white Boomers across the middle. Terrence Marin, his second season with the club, but the first one came 10 years ago. 2014 was the last season that he appeared here in Evansville, bounced around in the affiliated ranks and Mexico, and it's great to have him back in an Otters jersey. Despite an 0-4 record this year, he is ready to right that ship and give the Otters a chance for victory here tonight against the fourth-placed Schaumburg Boomers here in the West Division. Just about time to kick things off. First pitch going to come at about 7:06 o'clock. The rain has passed. It looks like we're going to be good the rest of the evening. Marin winds and deals. First pitch home. In there for a called strike. 7:06 our first time. It was a 31-minute delay due to rain. And it is an 89-degree, mostly cloudy first pitch. Second pitch also in there for a called strike on Christian Fedko, the right fielder for the Boomers. Enters today's game batting .341 and 40 RBIs on the campaign. Quite the season. He's kind of bounced around the lineup, but when he's been in this leadoff spot, very efficient. Third pitch in there for a high and inside ball one. Our counts at 1-2. Opening batter of this Wednesday night game, delayed 31 minutes due to rain. Ball is sent high, mid-deep to left center field. Mattis is going to settle underneath it and bring it in for out number one. And with that, we'll take a look around the defensive alignment for this Otters team. Randy Bednar mans left field, Madison center, Mason White out in right. Across the infield, it is Alex Adams at third, Paven Parks at short, Delvin Zinn at second base, Dakota Phillips at first, and returning behind home plate, Justin Felix. Good to see him get another start behind the dish as well. Brings up the center fielder, Brett Milazzo. He's batting 248 on his season, and he takes a first pitch strike. Two batters, two first pitch strikes for Marin, and that's exactly what he would like to see to get this thing started. Second pitch is dribbled towards short. Parks on two hops, a jumping throw, and it is in time over to first for out number two. 2 up, 2 down so far for this Boomers team. And this is the type of start I'm sure Terrence Marin wanted to see up there. Anytime you see a camera shot, if you happen to be joining us on Flow Baseball, if you happen to see any camera shots of Marin up on the mound, he is almost always smiling. There is nowhere he is happier than right here at a baseball field. Quite often when the team's getting ready to hop on a bus, he's here an hour and a half early just to get a workout in. He said to me right before one of the trips, if I'm going to be on a bus for 8 hours, I might as well, get out here, get a run in, enjoy myself for a couple hours. Second pitch zoomed to the right side, through for a base hit past Delvin Zinn and into right field. And the first base hit of the game belongs to Chase Dawson, one of the most deadly hitters in this league.
Designated hitter 21, David Harris.
So now it brings up the designated hitter, David Harris, in his third game with the Boomers. And he's going to go ahead and use his timeout right now as he hustles back down into the dugout. I'm not sure if maybe he didn't have the bat he wanted or perhaps a wrong set of batting gloves. He was in the on-deck circle, but as soon as it was his time, he called time. He was granted by home plate umpire Gary Glover and immediately ran down the steps of that third base dugout. And we still await his re-arrival. Marin having a good time up on the mound, joking with home plate umpire Gary Glover, asking if he can have a couple of free warm-up throws, but he is denied on that attempt. So now here comes David Harris in his third game with the Boomers, so far just batting a .167 average and certainly looking for a game that can cement himself in the order. And it seems as if he is certainly being trusted by 12th season manager Jamie Bennett, being put in that cleanup role. Now he's got an opportunity in the first, man on base, 2 outs, some situational hitting, and a pitch clock violation occurs. Now it looks like they might have called that one off. Gary Glover at first was holding up both hands for time, and then he gave the signal to re-rack it. So it looks like it won't be a pitch clock violation, and the first official pitch is way up high for ball one. Dawson stands on first after his single. Lasered one between Dakota Phillips and Delvin Zinn there on the right side of the infield. Marin with a quick glance over to first. And he kind of fakes his arms over there. Doesn't really make much of a movement. New hairstyle for Marin as well. He had gone the last few games just with free flowing black hair kind of running over both shoulders. Said today came in with a kind of dreadlock braid. Hard hit ball down the left field line, just foul. Maybe one base worth to the foul side of that third base. Not by much, however. Alex Adams had a good first step. Looked like he might have just kind of given up on it because it was going foul. But I think there was a chance he could have made the play had it stayed fair. Instead, it takes our count to 1-1. And Marin checks on first before delivering home the 1-1. High and inside. Takes the count to 2-1. Marin with a 5.57 ERA this season, just 21 innings pitched, but in that time he's got 13 Ks. Looking for his first official win of the season, as he's 0-4 and the Otters are 0-4 in his 4 starts thus far. Chance to give the Otters a big one. Broken bat as the ball hits very lightly towards third base. Adams picks it up on a few hops, and it's over to first for out number 3. A 2-out base hit will not come back to hurt the Otters, so after 1/2 inning, we're still scoreless from Evansville. The Otters coming to bat next here on the Otters Digital Network.
All right, fans, it's time for the Toronto.
Bottom of the first coming at you here at the Otters Digital Network as the Boomers and Otters finally get this series underway. Last night's game postponed due to a heavy thunderstorm that moved through this area. It was so bad, in fact, a tornado warning was issued for Vanderburgh County, and everyone here had to take shelter for a little bit. Luckily, everyone all right. Nobody injured at the ballpark. We were able to get the tarp off the field, at least briefly last night before it returned for the full night. And now here we are ready for baseball today. We had about a 30-minute delay due to some light rain in the area, a pop-up storm that came out of nowhere, but it only delayed us 31 minutes. And in the top of the first, no damage done by the Boomers after a 2-out single. And now it is the Otters' turn to see what they can do. Delvin Zinn kicks things off. The second baseman will be followed by Gary Madison, Paven Parks here in this first. First pitch is high and in for ball one from Jacob Smith, the tall lefty on this Boomers team. 6'7", 235. A lot of body able to maneuver that baseball towards you. Zinn looked like he thought about a bunt as the ball stayed very low and outside. Take the count to 2-0. There's some more information there for Jacob Smith. He was excellent in his 10 games so far at Wintrust Field. Not as great on the road, but he's still been a reliable arm for this Boomers team. The 2-0 is high and inside. And Zinn with all the time to work with now in the box. Well ahead in the count. as the man from Mississippi looks to get on base to kick off this game. The 3-0. Grabs that upper inside corner for strike one. Kind of one of those keep it close and you should get the strike call pitches from Smith, and that opens up the playbook a ton here on the 3-1. Heavy pitch home. Catches the zone on the outside edge. Zinn thought he had got ball 4, and now quickly he's gone from 3-0 to 3-2, and he's going to have to battle in that right-handed batter's box. A welcome to all joining us both on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Baseball. Ball is hit high and foul. It's going to get behind us, and it ends up landing on the roof here at Bosse Field. So still alive is Delvin Zinn. Zinn enters the game batting .309, has 6 RBIs and a home run on the season as well. Despite a couple of rough games to start his career in Evansville, he's really taken flight. Foul ball is kind of chucked over to the right side, and unable to get over there in time is former Otter Anthony Calarco, who was released from the Otters earlier this season and then found a home with the Schaumburg Boomers. He's from Chicago, so whenever he was released here, he went back home and did some scouting to see what teams could use him, and he found a home with Schaumburg. I'll walk you through that defensive alignment after this opening batter. Once again on a payoff pitch to Zinn. This one's hit hard out towards left. Charging in is going to have to be Simmons. Almost overruns it, and he's able to bring it in pretty simple for out number 1. So with that, we'll look at the defensive alignment for this Schaumburg Boomers team. Simmons, Milazzo, Fedko, left to right across the outfield. In the infield, it's Wallace, DePretta Johnson, Dawson, and Calarco. And Jake Mayer mans things behind the plate. Keep an eye on Tyler DePretta Johnson. He's a human highlight reel at shortstop, and there is not many guys who can hit balls past him in that area. Gary Mattis at the plate now. First pitch falls in there for a called strike. Gorgeous throw there from Smith. And Mattis will start from behind. He enters the game batting .288. Another member of the Otters from the past couple seasons who didn't start the year here, but found his way back midway through the season, and we're glad to have him back here in Evansville. His second pitch high and outside evens the count. Mattis joined the Otters last year well late into the season. In fact, it was during the playoff run before that championship series. He had a huge home run in one of the games of the championship series up there in Quebec, one that gave them the lead for a while. Ball hit hard down the right field line. Long run out there is Fedko, and he's able to bring it in about 5 steps shy of that right field line for out number 2. So it'll go down as a F9 on the fly out, but it was a lot more impressive than that, as he had a lot of room to make up to get over there. And with 2 outs, the shortstop, Paven Parks, heads to the dish. It'll be the first lefty that Smith has faced today. He enters the game with a .333 average, 18 RBIs, 5 home runs. A two-way player. He also picked up his 3rd save of the season for Evansville on Sunday night. First pitch home to Parks. Again, great movement on that pitch from Smith as he runs the fingers over the top of the ball to kind of guide it down into the zone on that curve. Able to find the zone for strike 1. Time running out on the pitch clock, down to 1 second. Finally, Smith gets it out. This one rides up near the hands of Parks. Fastball does miss him, though, for 1-1 on. Smith with a 2-1 record on the season, .392 ERA, and in 59 innings of work, he has 74 strikeouts. He has been very good this season. The 1-1 gets Paven to kind of bend the knees as it was lower in the zone, but it does stay low enough for ball 2. The team is 5-3 when Jacob Smith starts this Boomers squad, and he has allowed 3 runs or less in 5 straight outings, playing the best baseball of the season. Another pitch that stays high, tried to roll over the top of it with the fingers, and it looks like he didn't quite get the movement he wanted on it. As per usual, the coaches for the Otters while they're hitting, Billy Easley, at first, and Andy McCauley at third. Swinging strike 2 for Pavin Parks, just behind that heater. And Parks will call his timeout. An opportunity to kind of reset things, adjust the batting gloves, and more than anything, it allows him to just refocus. Baseball is such a mental game that one timeout has become so vital in your at-bat that you have to decide when the right time to use it is. A 3-2 pitch with 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Stays low, and Pavin's going to get himself on base in his first plate appearance of the night. A long at-bat ends up with a walk. And because of that, the left fielder, Randy Bednar, is going to get an opportunity with a man on. It's every cleanup hitter's dream. 2 outs, man on, a chance to do his job. Bednar was not going to play in yesterday's series opener, but with that postponement, he's back in the lineup, so it looks like it was just a planned routine day off. Enters with a .266 average, 33 RBI on the season, and 10 home runs, but it's been a while since he's had one. First pitch looks as if it rides inside, but because Bednar was kind of hugging the plate, it's in there for strike 1. Bednar, a 5'9", 195-pound outfielder out of New York. Another pitch inside, this one high enough and off the plate for ball 1, and it evens our count at 1-1. If need be, Dakota Phillips stands and waits in the on-deck circle. A little bit of a lefty lineup following Bednar, as Phillips and Mendham will both follow. The 1-1 barely misses the top of the zone. Tell you what, it is a tale of 2 pitchers for Jacob Smith. When the curveball is doing its job, it seems to be fooling a lot of guys. It looks like it's going to fall completely out of the zone, but it just hangs on for some of those strikes. But when he can't quite get the location on it, it is pretty easy to pick up. Bednar skies this one out towards center. In fact, it's going to be shallow center. In fact, almost deep shortstop, as Tyler DePreda Johnson almost trips on the lip, but brings it in for out number 3. And much like the Boomers, the Otters get a man on with 2 outs, but nothing comes of it. We head to the second inning here on the Otters Digital Network. Still scoreless in Evansville.
Evan is going to be
A reminder to you, if you have a group of friends or coworkers who wish to come to historic Bossy Field and enjoy an Otters home game, contact the Otters front office to reserve a party deck on our Corona Extra Patio Deck. The Corona Extra Patio Deck is one of the best places to watch the game with an all-you-can-eat menu and unlimited bottled water and soft drinks. Call 812-435-8686 for more information on how you can book your next celebration here at historic Bossy Field. Getting set for second inning action here between the Schaumburg Boomers and Evansville Otters. The series opener after last night's game was postponed due to a severe thunderstorm that came rolling in right about 6 o'clock here in the Evansville metro area. Terrence Marin gave up a base hit with 2 outs in that first, but they were able to work around it. And the first man up to bat here in the second, Anthony Calarco, a former Otter, was released a month and a half or so ago and found a home with the Boomers. Batting .308 so far with Schaumburg, has 6 RBIs and a pair of home runs. He watches a first pitch strike go by. Now the 0-1. stays low and inside. 4-1, the count's even. Calarco will be followed by the third baseman Paxton Wallace and the left fielder Aaron Simmons. Here in the 5-6-7 part of the lineup. Gary Glover asked for a re-up of our pitch clock, and Marin already facing 9 seconds left on that clock. He's used quite a bit of it in a lot of his pitches thus far. The 1-1 is fouled off pretty high and well over the Bossy Field roof to the left side, probably out in the parking lot. And quickly, Calarco back 1-2 in the count. Marin sends it home. It's dribbled out towards second. Zen was playing far enough in the hole that it gets past him and way into center field, where Gary Mattis picks it up and brings it in. And it is a leadoff single for Anthony Calarco here in the second inning.
Batting sixth at third base.
So it brings up the third baseman, Paxton Wallace. He's hitting .306 on the season, and it's just another way that it kind of shows you how deep this lineup is for the Boomers. They've got guys hitting in the 300s all the way down in their sixth spot of the lineup. Wallace, kind of a reliable man out there. 10 RBIs, 2 home runs so far in the season. First pitch home. Stays just a hair inside. 4-1. Felix tried to frame it, and that's one of the things you're going to see a lot tonight if you happen to be watching on our Flow baseball broadcast. The catcher, Justin Felix, great at keeping that pitch close and framing pitches to look like strikes. Ball is dribbled foul towards the Boomers dugout to even the count at 1-1. Our game did start 31 minutes late due to a very brief rain shower here in the area. Kind of came out of nowhere, too. Didn't look like there was anything on the radar. Then it just bloomed about 10 miles north and west of here. Just enough time that the field crew was able to get the tarp on the field for a few minutes. 1-1 home to Wallace. And that one's fouled back into the screen. And Marin ahead in the count once again. Marin has not been a big strikeout guy so far this year, but he has been reliable up on the mound as long as he can keep the bases empty. It's once he gives up a base runner or two that things start to fall a little bit for him. So if he can get potentially 2 on one of these pitches, it'd be huge. A dribbler towards third base, but Adams plays it about a foot foul, and the count will remain 1-2. Had that stayed fair, it might have been in a really good opportunity and spacing for Adams to get to second in time to potentially turn 2, which is exactly what Terrence Marin could use. Take the pressure off of him. He's going to have to trust his defense. He can't do it all himself, especially with the lower pitch count it seems like he's had on some of his games. Ball is rifled to the left side and past Adams' extended glove into left field. Bednar will pick it up and fire it in, but it is back-to-back singles to kick off this second inning. And that's what really the Otters couldn't afford in a situation like this. A Boomers team that will take advantage of you if you give them the spacing to do so. So an out would be a huge priority for the Otters here. Don't even have to turn 2. Just find a way to get 1. And best case scenario is also to not allow either guy to advance. It brings up Aaron Simmons. He's hitting .272 on the season. 42 RBI for him. 9 home runs. This is a huge opportunity for him. The left fielder looked like he was going to bunt. Pitch stays high and outside for ball 1, and he doesn't have to. We say thank you to anyone joining us on the Otters Digital Network or Flow Baseball. Wednesday night baseball here from historic Bossy Field in Evansville, Indiana. The 1-0 home. Low and inside. It's a 2-0 count. Out on second base is Anthony Calarco. Paxton Wallace stands on first after they each had a single to start off this inning. A 2-0. Catches the zone on that high outside corner, says Gary Glover. And again, give some credit to Justin Felix. Does well to keep that ball right there until he hears the call. We've kind of seen it in this league this year. If you're a catcher that pops up quickly, you're not going to get as many of those called strikes. Some of those guys that hold that pitch out there and make sure that it's seen get some more favorable ones here and there. A dribbler foul out towards the Otters bullpen actually ends up in the hands of Alex Valdez, who we hope to see tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow. He's been on the visa inactive list all season long. He was finally activated a couple of days ago, had his visa approved a few weeks ago, was able to get it picked up down there in the Dominican Republic and made his way to Evansville. So glad to have him here and hope we get to see what he's made of. Ball hit on the ground to the right side to Phillips, to second for one. Back over to first, not quite in time. Marin thought he had got it. But nevertheless, a good play from Phillips to rifle it over to Parks for at least one out. And Simmons will reach on the fielder's choice. Calarco advances to third, and the only base with no one on is second now. Runners on the corners for the catcher, Jake Mayer. He's hitting .237 on the season, has 5 RBI. Waiting on that first pitch, taking his time is Terrence Marin. You get 20 seconds with guys on, and he's more than happy to use that. First pitch is high for ball one. Gunn has it at 83. It looks like a fastball coming out of his hands, but it just doesn't quite have the juice of a lot of other guys' fastball, which can lead to some of those weak contacts as guys are trying to slow down the bat mid-swing. Can make for some interesting hit balls. Ball bounced in. Ends up a couple of feet short of the plate. Great stop by Felix to make sure that the run column stays empty for the Boomers. So the count now 2-0 for Jake Mayer. Mayer playing in his 11th game for the Boomers. 2-0 comes home. Way high. Ball 3. A pivotal pitch now for Terrence Marin. Aaron Simmons stands on first. Anthony Calarco on third. The Boomers threatening here in the second inning. A team that you really don't want to allow to kind of take a game into their own hands. They're a tough team to fight with. Another pitch inside. It's a 4-pitch walk as Mayer is able to reach first the easy way. With that, the base is loaded. As the 9-hole hitter, Tyler DePreta-Johnson heads to the plate. Despite a .238 average, this guy is one of the most fun players to watch in this entire league. When he's not doing it with the bat, he most certainly is doing it with the glove at short. If you have kept up with the Frontier League's top 10 plays of the day, which has now become the top 10 plays of the series, he's been featured in almost every one of them. Almost every night, the guy is making a tremendous play. He dribbles one to the left side. It's through for a base hit. One Boomer's going to score, but the second is left alone. Now he comes home as Bednar is able to, or actually just overruns the ball by a tad bit, and 2 Boomers will score on the play. I would imagine that they'll rule that as a single, and then the second run advances on an error as Bednar brought his eyes up to look towards home, and when the eyes came up, the ball dribbled just under the glove. Just like that, Schaumburg on the board first. So back to the top of the order we go. Christian Fedko, who flew out his first time with a RBI opportunity. 1 out, 2 men in scoring position. And this could be a huge at-bat in this game. First pitch home. Just a bit inside, ball 1. As Marin, searching for that strike zone, was able to find it in that last at-bat with DePreta-Johnson, but TDJ put it in play and brought a couple guys home. The 1-0, dribbled foul to the left side. It'll end up behind the tarp, which has gotten its fair share of usage these last couple of days. But it's done its job, kept this field nice. We've been able to keep our hopes alive for baseball this week, and as you're seeing now or hearing now, we do have baseball from Bosse Field. So as expected, that last play is ruled a single, advance on error. Another ball fouled off, this one off towards the Otters dugout on the right side. Eddie jumps out there to pick up that ball, one of our great bat boys here in Evansville. Marin certainly using all the time on that clock. Calm himself down a little bit. The 1-2 comes home. This one's hit high and foul. Felix is going to run over there towards it, but it is able to get all the way up onto the roof. And the Boomers dugout all sits there and waits for it.
Choose the best.
And the count remains at 1 ball, 2 strikes for Christian Fedko. Two runs have scored thus far in the inning on 3 hits for the Boomers. 1 error also assisted with a run. We try again on the 1-2 for Christian Fedko. Hit hard, but to the left side and fouled off towards the Boomers dugout, or sorry, bullpen. And it is just one of the bullpen members that stands up and grabs that baseball. As per usual here at Bossy Field, a couple of kids come over and ask for the baseball. Boomers just passing it around in the bullpen for now. Pivotal 1-2 pitch here for the leadoff man, Christian Fedko. Marin sends it home. It's hit towards Adams at third. Wonderful play. He's going to come home with it. Felix grabs it, and he tries to tag out the man. They say safe by Gary Glover at home plate. And just like that, it's a fielder's choice that ends up with a RBI in favor of the Boomers. Another run scores.
Brett Milazzo.
Great play made by Alex Adams. Wonderful play. Was able to move the body just right, had to make a backhanded play. Then instead of opting to go to first, he fires one home to Felix. But because of the location of Jake Mayer, who was running home, the bodies were just kind of in the way, and Felix wasn't able to apply a tag. And it's now 3-0 in favor of the Boomers. First pitch in for ball 1 from Terrence Marin to Brett Milazzo. Milazzo grounded out his first time up. It was a hard hit ball pretty much right up the middle, but Paven Parks was playing a little bit to his left side, and because of that, was able to make a pretty simple play. On that last play, they have decided on a fielder's choice RBI from Fedko. 1-0 home to Milazzo. High and outside. Good by Felix to keep that in front of him and likely save another run. Long wait up there for Marin. 8 seconds left on the pitch clock. Fires it home, and it's low. Another good stop from Felix. Otters rocking those full white jerseys, something we haven't seen a ton of this year, as for the most part they've opted for the blues at home. Only the 6th time they've worn these white ones all year. They're 4-1 in them, however, so maybe some winning ways in these threads. But a 4-pitch walk is going to put Brett Milazzo on first, and once again the bases are loaded for the Boomers. With that, the Otters bullpen will stand up.
15, Chase Dawson.
And it looks like Jacob Mayer might start throwing, the former UE product. It's been a while since we've seen Jacob Mayer, as he pitched in that Florence series last week and then wasn't used against Lake Erie. The matchups just didn't quite call for it. Didn't really have the need for him. He and Shane Harris have both made appearances with the Otters this year. Both were part of that University of Evansville team that made that dream run to the Super Regionals and even stole a game from Tennessee. More on him if he enters this game. But first, Chase Dawson, a dangerous bat at the plate with the bases loaded and 1 out. The first pitch he sees is high and outside for ball 1. Milazzo stands on first, Fedko at second. Bretta Johnson at third. The 1-0. This is just high for ball 2. Anthony Calarco, Aaron Simmons, and Jake Meir have all touched home already in this game for the Boomers. And the bases are still loaded here in this second inning. Big time couple of pitches coming from Marin. This one stays low and able to check his swing is Chase Dawson. They do go check out at the umpire in the field. Nick Baroni out there says, no, he did not go around. Pivotal couple of pitches coming up as the bullpen is alive for Evansville. Bases loaded, 1 out, and a 3-0 count to a dangerous hitter in Chase Dawson. A 3-0 home from Marin. Catches him in the ankle, and a run is going to score on that one. Scary play that Dawson is able to get his foot out of the way. He lets out a little shout, but I think he's going to be all right. Certainly not a guy that the Boomers want to see get injured. He does give a nod towards that dugout and takes off his gear as he gets ready to head to first. A run scores, so it's now 4-0 in favor of the Boomers, and they've done it on 3 hits and an error. Looks like the day is going to end for Terrence Marin, is already running in as Jacob Meyer. We will tell you more about him on the other side. Second inning, Otters have to go to the bullpen. We'll tell you more right after this. Jacob Meyer entering the game for the Evansville Otters out of the bullpen as the day from Terrence Marin comes to a much sooner close than he would have hoped for. Meyer has been rock solid this year, however. A lot of fun to watch. His last appearance came at Florence. He threw 3 scoreless innings, allowed just 1 hit, struck out 3 in that outing. He's going to have a similar one here today. First pitch, gorgeous one in there for a called strike 1. The only out so far of this half inning has come on a fielder's choice. Looked like the Otters might have gotten 2 on the play, but it is ruled just a little bit late for out number 2, so just the 1 recorded there on the second batter of the game of the half inning. Called strike 2 as Meyer in the driver's seat against David Harris, a guy who is in just his 3rd game in a Boomers jersey. He grounded out to end the first inning, and barring a double play, gives the Boomers a chance to bat around here. Ball dribbled over to the left side towards that tarp. Count remains 0-2. Can't close the book yet on Terrence Marin, as he is responsible for all 3 men on base. Once again, the 0-2. 1 out, bases loaded. This one's hit high out towards left. Back towards the warning track is Bednar, right in front of the Signorama sign. He brings it in for out number 2. long throw over to third, and everyone is able to advance on the sacrifice fly. A run scores. Runners at first and second advance to second and third, and it is a very productive out for David Harris. And for the second time this inning, Anthony Calarco heads to the plate. So call it a fly out, sac fly for David Harris. So for the second time this inning, Anthony Calarco, the former Otter, and he watches ball one go by Jacob Meyer. Can't be too upset with Meyer. He comes in and he gets that out. It's unfortunate that the ball was hit so deep that everyone was able to advance, but the important thing is they get the out and get that much closer to getting out of this inning. A 1-0. Hit right back at Meyer, and it gets him in the back, and he is in pain. It's picked up by Adams, and everyone's going to call this to a stop as out comes the training crew to check on Meyer. That got him really hard in the back. He was immediately feeling it. Man, you hate to see one like that. It got him really good right above the belt on that right hip. So hard, in fact, that it kicked all the way past the third base side. Adams did go pick it up in foul territory as they called it dead. But of course, it'll count as a single for everyone. Catherine Frantz, the athletic trainer out there with Dr. Mark Martin, alongside both field manager Andy McCauley and pitching coach Max Peterson, everybody out there trying to make sure that their pitcher's all right. He gives them a nod of certainty, and now he's going to take a couple of warm-up pitches. Be great to see Jacob stay in this game. As it stands, however, it is an RBI single right back up the middle that will allow another run to score. It's now 6-0 in favor of those Boomers, and desperate for out number 3 are the Otters. But I think right now, more importantly, is making sure that their pitcher, Jacob Meyer, is all right, and indeed he is. An applause from this crowd, and very well deserved. One of the hardest hit comebackers I've seen in a long time, especially here at this ballpark. Great to see him able to shake that one off. But it is an RBI single for Calarco. Means another one's come home. First pitch into that other batter's box, gets so far away that trying for 2 bases is not going to be successful. Chase Dawson had second base easily, tried to get all the way to third. And that's how the inning ends. A run scores on the wild pitch, but able to grab out number 3 are the Otters, and they have work to do as we come back in the bottom of the second inning. 7-0 in favor of the Boomers here on the Otters Digital Network. We are ready for the bottom of the second inning. With that top half ending, we're finally able to close the book on Terrence Marin. Only able to go an inning and a third. Gives up 7 runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, unable to record a strikeout. And now the bullpen is going to have to lock things down for Evansville, and the offense is going to have to come alive. The perfect guy to get it started, Dakota Phillips, stands in as the first batter of the frame. He watches strike 1 go by to kick things off. Dak is chasing a few historic milestones in Otters history, just a couple home runs away from taking that all-time lead. Also rising up the RBI ranks, and while he won't set a new one, he's definitely climbing up the hit ranks as well. Great to see him kind of show a little bit of loyalty, come back to Evansville and have a great first couple of weeks back in an Otters jersey, and hopefully he's able to end the season as well as he started his time with the Otters and break a couple of these records and kind of cement himself as one of the all-time greats in Otters history. After the foul ball, it's 0-2 home to him. And again, fouled off towards the parking lot. He stays alive. Phillips enters with a .273 average, 21 RBIs and 7 home runs. He had home runs in 4 straight games when he returned to this Otters lineup a few weeks ago. Started the season with the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks in the American Association. The 0-2 again. High up towards his helmet. Ball 1. And despite a little bit of rain that came through here before the game started, a nice crowd on hand to watch some Wednesday night baseball. It has been hot in Evansville the last couple of days, so I don't blame people for staying inside a little bit. And a called strike 3 on the outside half. And the opening batter of this bottom of the second for the Otters sat down looking. First strikeout of the day for Jacob Smith. He knows how to do that. 75 strikeouts now in the year in just over 60 innings of work. So he has been very efficient up on the bump for the Boomers this year. It brings up the midseason All-Star MVP, David Mindham. .306 average right now. Had 2 doubles in that midseason classic a few weeks ago. First pitch home. Barely misses the top of the zone for ball 1. Very light breeze kind of blowing out towards that left field wall. As the 1-0 gets set to come home towards Mindham. Rocket shot stays low. Speed gun had it at 88, and it certainly looked like it. Smith really put a charge into that one. So the Canadian, David Mindham, waiting on the 2-0. It's coming home from Smith. That one does find the zone right at the elbows. Called strike 1. Took a little off there, pulled the string. Came in at 75. Good arcing ball. That didn't look like it was going to fall in, and then at the last second just drops in for a strike. Again, runs the finger over the top of the ball for a beautiful moving pitch. It rolls like a slider, but he almost releases it like a curveball, which can make it very deceptive for batters to pick up on. And because of it, Mindham's going to take a couple seconds with his timeout and reapproach at 2-2. Pitch comes home, and he tried to pull the string on that one as well, but never really got the bite on the ball, so it stayed high and outside. So the last time I put this headset on here was back in 2022 with my good friend Bill McEwen on the air, and he really appreciated a pitcher who could have a good bite on a ball, could flick that wrist at the end and pull the string. And on back-to-back pitches, Smith unable to do that. And because of that, it's the second walk of the day for the Otters. This one for David Mindham. And the Otters have a runner on with just 1 out. A couple of sneaky good bats coming up as well. Justin Felix coming to the plate now. Mason White, Alex Adams ready to follow. A couple of guys that are kind of in slumps. A huge opportunity to break out of them here. Runner on first is Mindham after that walk. extends his on-base streak to 8 as Felix watches the first one go by for ball 1. Keep an eye on Justin Felix. He is a season-high 3-game hitting streak, looking to extend that. He had a couple big ones in that Lake Erie series. The 1-0 comes home, almost catches Felix in the elbow, able to get out of its way, however, take it for ball 2. Felix in his typical light blue gradient arm sleeve, which I think really fits the Otters brand nicely. Has kind of both the primary and secondary colors worked into it. 2-0 that does find the zone for strike 1. Kind of looked like Felix wanted to swing, but because it had so much behind it, he made the decision too late and decided to lay off of it instead of swing a little bit late at 1. 2-1 the count to Justin Felix. Thinks about going around it, but it's a called strike regardless, and the count's even at 2-2. 1 out, 1 man on for the Otters as they're looking to chip into this lead after 7 runs score for the Boomers in the top half of the inning. Jacob Smith eyeing down the runner at first, sending one home, and way out in front of it is Justin Felix. A great pitch to kind of flick the wrist and slow that pitch down, and Smith's able to grab his second strikeout of the game and inning. This one against Justin Felix. So now 2 men out with the man on first as the right fielder Mason White, the Evansville Central product, heads to the plate. And for White, it has not exactly been the last few games of his dreams. But the first pitch he sees drills out towards center, unfortunately right at the center fielder Milazzo, and that's out number 3. He won't break the 3-game hitless streak here, but he'll obviously have a couple more chances later in this one. Still 7-0 in favor of the Boomers here on the Otters Digital Network. Top of the 3rd inning. Otters unable to do anything with their sole base runner in the bottom of the 2nd. And now it is Operation Keep the Boomers Off the Scoreboard. After a 7 spot in the top of the 2nd inning, Jacob Meyer will look to lock things down on the mounds. First pitch home. This is a bit low for ball 1. Meyer unlucky in that 2nd inning. He came in, was able to get the 2nd out of the inning very quickly on a fly out that was a sacrifice fly, but it got that last out. The 1-0 does find the zone now and evens the count at 1-1. He almost got himself another out in that half inning as a ball was dribbled over towards Adams at 3rd. He tried to go straight home with it, but as it was just a little bit late, the run scored and the inning continued. Ball sent foul over the top of Bossy Field to the right side. Then there was another opportunity to get an out as Calarco lined one right back up the middle. It actually hit Meyer, hit him on the back so hard that it relayed all the way over towards the coach's box at third. Time was called. Meyer looked at, but everything deemed all right. He's back out there. Had a couple of really solid pitches in his warm-up before this inning. And now with a 2-2 count, Paxton Wallace looking to disrupt that a bit. But boy, could Meyer certainly benefit from picking up a strikeout and getting on top of some of these hitters early. The third pitch is in there. Called strike 3 on the inside edge. Not happy about it was Paxton Wallace. But lo and behold, it is the first German-American bank strikeout of the day for the Otters. And it's how this inning begins. Called strike 3 for out number 1. It brings the left fielder Aaron Simmons to the plate. Pitch comes home. A lot of curve on that one, and it found that outside zone. Exactly what Meyer wants to do with it. Make it so it just sneaks in that back door, finds the zone for a strike. Wallace had a single there in that big second inning, but he was almost a casualty of a potential double play. He dribbles one to the right side, back over to Meyer from Phillips, and out number 2 quickly acquired by the Otters. That one 3-1 on the putouts. So now that brings an opportunity that when we were kind of filling in the rosters for this, we thought we might see. Jacob Meyer on the mound, Jake Meyer at the plate. The catcher from the Boomers. And it is a matchup of Myers. First pitch home, fouled back into the netting, strike 1. Nobody on with 2 outs here. Huge chance for Evansville to kind of slam the door on the Boomers after a rough second inning. Meyer ready on the 0-1. Kicks and deals. Another gorgeous pitch. A great moving pitch there as the ball just barely slides into that outside edge, which I guess for the righties is an inside edge. And it's an 0-2. We'll see if he gives him something to chase. Indeed he does. It's high and outside and out there far enough for ball 1. This game started a bit late, 31 minutes to be exact, after a out of nowhere rain shower surprised us here in Evansville, but the tarp was able to be brought onto the field. Ball dribbled right back up towards Meyer. He picks it up over to first, out number 3, and it's a 1-2-3 inning after a tough second. 7-0 in favor of the Boomers here on the Otters Digital Network. Back here at historic Bossy Field as we are getting set for the bottom half of the third inning. A great answer from this Otters defensive and pitching staff as they're able to go out there, grab a strikeout, a couple of light grounders that lead to a 3-up, 3-down inning. And now the Otters bats will look to get something done. Adams probably lucky he didn't get pitch clocked there as he was still kind of looking at the bat with 8 seconds left, but just barely getting the first pitch off as Smith. And it is inside for ball 1. So both pitcher and batter nearly get pitch clocked there to start the inning, but both alive after that and we're calmed down now. The 1-0 home. Half swung on, but going through just enough was Adams to even the count at 1-1. Alex Adams seeing action for the first time this evening, or at least at the plate. .231 batting average entering the game. .333 on base percentage. His next pitch stays low and on the outside edge to go to 2-1. Turning into a warm evening here at Bossy Field as all day long the rains will come in just long enough to cool things off for the time being, and then the heat comes right back even warmer than before. The heat index just keeps seeming to creep up throughout the day. Count is 3-1 to Alex Adams, who would love to get himself on base to start this half inning. A little bit of a wait for Smith. Now the 3-1 comes home. Finds the zone just on the outside edge. Looks like Adams just barely shakes the head, but now he's going to have to settle in. Otters also looking for that first hit of this game. 3-2 comes home to Adams. Foul tipped into the glove, and it is a strikeout to start the inning for Alex Adams. Got a piece of the ball, but not quite enough of it to keep himself alive. So back to the top of the order we go. The second baseman, Delvin Zinn, digging in. The Edward Jones leadoff batter of the game. He flew out to left his first time up. Looked like it was going to potentially fall, but zooming in was Simmons, the left fielder out there, and was actually able to make a pretty simple play. First pitch to Zinn stays high for ball 1. Gary Mattis stands in wait. He'll be the next batter, and if needed, Paven Parks, Randy Bednar, the two that follow. The 1-0 to Zinn. Finds the zone on the high inside corner. A nice off-speed pitch there from Jacob Smith. He has excellent control and a lot of deception between his fastballs and his breaking pitches. The 1-1. Swung right through his Delvin Zinn, and that one kind of split the difference. 79, which a lot of where Jacob Smith's pitches have been in the upper 80s or the low 70s. So that upper 70s area kind of new and kind of looked like it had Delvin Zinn on edge a bit. The 1-2. This one is sent high and foul, but back behind home and will leave Bossy Field. And we will regroup for another 1-2 pitch. You're going to see Bossy Field get a lot darker, a lot quicker than normal, and that just happens to be because of our 31-minute delay due to the rainstorm. A 1-2 to Zinn. This one is potentially playable. Calarco comes zooming in, and he makes a sliding grab and slides at his and smiles at his former teammates there in the Otters dugout. A wonderful sliding grab from Anthony Calarco, and that is only made by guys who have played extra games here because they understand the amount of space they have around here, and Calarco ends up actually making a pretty seamless move there. So that'll bring up Gary Mattis, the center fielder, who flew out to right his first time up. First pitch home to him. Again, that off-speed pitch that just dives into the zone. Down in the low 70s, hard to figure out when you're going to swing the bat at a pitch like that. So now the 0-1 to Gary. That one finds the inside corner for a called strike 2. And just like that, the Otters potentially looking at their final strike of the half inning. Don't got to find all this offensive at once, but the longer you go in this game without finding it, the more you're going to need. The 0-2, a half swing. No, he did not, says Miguel Cruz, our first base umpire. And Gary Mattis will stay alive. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on, as the Boomers are trying to record their first half inning without allowing a base runner. A 1-2 pitch home. Works way inside and hits Gary on that left arm, and he very quick to just drop the bat and run down to first. Didn't really let that one affect him. Just got himself down there and took his base. And once again, the Otters get a man on via the free pass. This one by the hit by pitch. The other 2 were on walks in the first 2 innings. And now, much like that first inning, a man on first with 2 outs for Evansville. The difference this time, it's Gary Mattis, who is a quick man on the base paths. He is 11 of 11 so far stealing bases this season. It is harder to do against these lefties, though. They do throw back over to first, and it almost looked like the step from Jacob Smith was so deceiving that it even got his first baseman, Anthony Calarco, as Calarco took a step in and faced towards home almost like he was getting ready to get in position for a pitch and nearly had that ball go over his head. First pitch home to Parks. Watches it go by on the outside. 4-1. Game 1 of this series, as it was supposed to be last night, but due to a severe thunderstorm, it moved that game to tomorrow. A doubleheader will take place tomorrow starting at 5:05, and this ends up being the series opener. Foul ball sent towards the Otters dugout, or bullpen, and it'll even our count at 1 ball, 1 strike. I think a lot of people were excited for this series after the way the Otters played against Lake Erie, swept the Crushers this past weekend, which was enough to move them out of second in the West Division. Ball sent out towards the left side by Parks. Making a run is Wallace, the third baseman. He slides, and he's not quite able to get there. That's a really hard play to make in this ballpark if you're not used to this ballpark, because you're really not sure how much more room you've got. In just about every other stadium in this league, that ball's probably well into the stands, at least 90% of the other ones in this league. So it's one of those that if you don't often play here, you're a little worried that wall could be coming up quick. Luckily for Wallace, he had his bullpen there that he was kind of able to use to assist him and giving him some directions. Pavin Parks takes his time out and applies some more, looks like rosin to the bats. Usually you see him grab the pine tar, but instead that was the pitching rosin that he just slapped on the bat, and probably just to dry things off as he looks to do something with this 1-2 pitch. 2 outs, man on first in the 3rd inning. Pitch home from Smith. Parks watches it go by, high and outside for ball 2, and the deuces are wild. A lot going on in the league, of course, today. A couple of games already concluded this morning. In fact, a couple of games also postponed due to some rain. Florence has stormed back to take a 7-6 lead against Lake Erie. They're in the 5th inning, though. Lots still to play there. Pavin puts one out towards left center. Long run for Simmons. He does get himself underneath it, and that's out number 3. And once again, a 2-out base runner for the Otters. Does not come back to haunt Schaumburg, and we head to the 4th inning. Schaumburg leads this one 7-0. Top of the fourth inning as the Schaumburg Boomers lead this one 7-0. And once again, the Otters will look for Jacob Meyer to lock things down on the mound. It's a first pitch ball, however, to Tyler DePretta Johnson, who we've mentioned is, of course, one of the best defensive players in this league, always making highlight reel plays at shortstop. The bat, however, at a .238 average so far this year. But so far, he's halfway to a free pass with both pitches staying high and inside. 2-0 the count. First pitch time was officially 7:06 with an 89-degree temperature. It has stayed very warm. Dribbler towards Parks at short. He plays it on 2 hops. Easy throw over to first. Try not to put too much behind it, and they grab out number 1 pretty simply here in the fourth. That was really important, I think. You know, after the second inning, you give up the 3 or 4 back-to-back-to-back contact, getting guys on. It's really important that the Otters were able to settle in here, get a strikeout to start off the third, a light ground out to start the fourth. If Jacob Meyer can settle in, it's exactly what the Otters will need to keep this game where it's at. You can't really afford to give Schaumburg any more room to expand this lead. You've got to keep your foot on their throat, if you will, to keep them where they're at. And you've got to chip at this one little by little. 1-0 to Fedko. It finds the bottom corner for a called strike, and the count's even at 1 ball, 1 strike to the leadoff man, Christian Fedko. 0 for 2 so far in the game with a flyout, and he reached on a fielder's choice in the second. He did come around to score, however. 1-1 catches. Oh, no, it doesn't catch the zone. Just stays a little too high. It's ball 2. It'll look like it to you if you're watching on Flow Baseball. The way that Jacob Meyer throws the ball, he uses the whole body. It looks like it takes a lot out of him, but yet he's able to really manage his stamina well and go quite a few pitches into his appearances. The movement from him almost just makes him more of a deceptive pitcher, which can make him a lot more dangerous as well. 3-1, pitch comes home. It finds the zone, and we'll have a full count payoff. We have a little bit of excitement beyond the left field wall, way out in those clouds, with some lightning still hanging around from the prior storms. It's well away from us, though. As a 3-2 stays a little too far outside, and Fedko will sprint down towards first with the 1-out walk. Looks like most of the rain that is passing now is out towards the Huntingburg Ferdinand area, so it shouldn't bother us any. There is, of course, the chance for these little pop-ups that have been here for days now, but it's looking like for the most part Evansville is going to avoid rain, hopefully, for the rest of this week. You hate to speak too soon with the amount of times we've said that this week, and then something pops up and kind of surprises us. First pitch strike to Brett Milazzo. As now Meyer glances back at first for that next pitch. A half swing, but certainly not enough to go around as Milazzo sees his count even at 1-1. Milazzo reached on a walk in that heavy second inning, slowly advanced his way around the bases, and then came home to fly on the sacrifice fly RBI from David Harris. Also had a ground out back in that first inning. Meyer will step off and walk Fedko back to first. A long wait before the 1-1. Milazzo waiting on it. It stays high and outside, and Felix good to get himself up out of his crouch quickly and keep that in his glove. Otters are right back here tomorrow, 5:05 first pitch. Because it is a doubleheader, it'll be 2 7-inning games between these two clubs with about 35 minutes between the two games. Both will be available here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Baseball. The next pitch stays inside, well inside, and it's now 3-1 to Brett Milazzo. And now Meyer's got to find the zone. Meyer pitched a very, very good third inning and started out this fourth inning pretty well as well. But now he's threatening to walk back-to-back men. The 3-1. Fouled off to the right side. In motion was Christian Fedko. A little hit and run action potentially. But because the ball is well foul, the count goes to full and the man stays on first. We try the 3-2. Fedko on the run again, and it's high and outside, ball 4. Runners now at first and second for the Schaumburg Boomers.
Second baseman, 15, Chase Dawson.
Back-to-back walks. It looks as if, at least for now, the Otters bullpen staying put where they're at. The wind has switched directions here. When we started this game, it was kind of blowing out towards left, but because of that system that has formed itself over in that Ferdinand area, just because the storms will blow air all sorts of different directions, it does have a little wind blowing straight south here across the ballpark, so it's pretty much straight left field corner to right field corner blowing across the diamond. First pitch is low and inside. Some of the little weather pieces I got to pick up on from in my days in hockey, working alongside my good friend Matthew Harding. Ooh, some lightning starting to get a little bit closer here. That one was a lot closer than the last few. Should still be fine though, as it doesn't look like we have any plans of pausing anything, as the storm is still far enough away. Plus, with wood bats, you're not as worried about lightning. Chase Dawson waiting on the 1-0. It does find the zone on the high outside corner, and Dawson kind of bends his head back. Didn't love the call, but now he is still in a place to control this at bat at 1-1. I imagine time's going to have to be called. It is, as a ball got free in the Otters bullpen and is out there near the Cox Group sign. Cox Group, one of our great partners for this season, where the quest for excellence never ends. The Cox Group, you can find out more information at www.warehouseservices.com. They have a 80-foot sign out in the right field area this year. Certainly takes up a lot of it. Fedko looked like he was in motion, but he stopped up about halfway, and it's a called strike 2. Now Dawson's going to have to fight from behind, but it's still a guy you don't really want to mess with too much. Dawson had a single in the first, was hit by a pitch in the second, later came on to score in that second inning. He advanced on the sacrifice fly and then came home to score on the wild pitch that also ended the inning. The 1-2 home to Dawson. Low and inside, gets away from Felix. Both runners will advance. I imagine that's going to be a wild pitch, as it did make Felix move quite a bit, though it did hit his glove. That is a tough one for him to get all the way over there and get in front of, because it was towards the batter's feet. So as a catcher, you want to be a little careful that you're not ending up making contact, because of course that allows men to advance as well when you make too much contact with those hitters. So runners now at second and third. 2-2 count with 1 out for one of the most dangerous hitters in this league, Chase Dawson. The 2-2 coming home from Jacob Mayer. He reaches out, grabbed by Meyer. He goes over to first. They get the out. No run scores. A tremendous play from the pitcher there. Exactly what you needed from Jacob Meyer. It's out number 2, and it brings up the cleanup man, David Harris. He had a sacrifice fly his last time up, and now he's once again hitting with the opportunity to bring men in. First pitch comes home for ball 1. It looks like Chip Korbacher that is getting ready in the Otters bullpen now. If you would have asked me before this game who I thought the Otters would likely bring in out of the bullpen in this game, it would have been Jacob Meyer and Chip Korbacher, as they're the two that have both been successful this year and haven't seen action recently. The pitch comes home for Meyer, and it does plunk David Harris on the back. Looks like he's going to be all right, though, as he does pop up pretty quickly takes off the gear and will head down to grab his free base at first base.
First baseman.
Certainly more walks than the Otters wanted to allow in this one. They've given up 4 walks and 2 hit by pitches now. Free bases for Schaumburg as another lightning strike happens out there well beyond the left field wall. I'll say well beyond because it is 15 plus miles away. Ball is hit very hard out towards right, but White is able to take a few steps out there. And Calarco goes down in just 1 pitch on the fly out, if not a line out towards right. We head to the home half of the 4th. Otters with work to do in this one on the Otters Digital Network. Stay up to date with the latest news and promotions from the Evansville Otters by visiting evansvilleotters.com and subscribing to the Otters e-newsletter by clicking Join Our E-News or on the evansvilleotters.com homepage. You can find it right at the top. Also, don't forget to follow the Otters on Twitter at Eville Otters, on Instagram at Evansville Otters, and like the Evansville Otters on Facebook, and you'll never miss anything of Otters news. Randy Bednar kicks us off here in the home half of the 4th. Jacob Smith with a first pitch home. That is a swinging strike. Kick things off. Otters have had a base runner in each of the 3 innings, but have left him stranded at first in all 3. Second pitch home, stays inside for ball 1, and the count's even for Randy Bednar. Bednar popped out to a deeper shortstop area his first time up. That was the final out of that first inning. This is his first appearance since. Heavy swinging strike, too, and that one made a big old pop as it hit the mitt of the Schaumburg catcher, and Bednar will go ahead and take his timeout. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are newer with the rules in the Frontier League, with the pitch clock being added last year, it's limiting the amount of timeouts guys can take. So as a batter, you can take 1 throughout your entire at-bat, so you have to be really strategic about when you use it to reset that mind. Bednar, after using it, pops one foul into the netting behind home. Eddie, our bat boy, will pop out and grab it as we take a second to regroup before the 1-2 pitch. Jacob Smith has his pitch call in. Fires home with no time remaining on the pitch clock. Swinging strike 3 for Bednar. And it is a leadoff strikeout for the 2nd inning tonight for the Otters. With an opportunity to kickstart the offense, though, here comes Dakota Phillips to the plate. The power bat from Nacogdoches, Texas. As this is my return to the Otters Digital Network for the first time since 22, I will make a few extra references towards my old friend Bill McEwen, who used to call games with me on here. Bill adored Dakota Phillips and his family. They are a great group of people, and Bill really enjoyed spending time with their family, and Bill loved Dakota Phillips. He did things the right way, and as a catcher, it's exactly the type of player that Bill McEwen loved. So to see him come back and have a chance to cement himself in some of these history books for the Otters, I'm sure is making Bill smile now, and be a perfect way to kind of kick off this offense with Dak getting himself a base knock here. The 2-0, swinging strike one, kind of chased that one towards the outside edge. That's a deceptive pitch. Kind of ran away from him as it came out of the hand of Jacob Smith. We are only in the fourth inning, and Jacob Smith's at 67 pitches. He has had to throw a lot, but he has been efficient in his couple of innings. 2-1, high and inside, and kind of gets Dak switched up, and he'll take his time after the count goes to 2-2. If you weren't with us at the top of the broadcast, our normal voice of the Otters, Kyle Chandler, had a little incident throughout the day today, a minor car accident, so we're giving him the evening off just to kind of reset his batteries and make sure he's 100% when he returns tomorrow. Kyle, we're thinking about you, and we can't wait to have you back here at the ballpark. A half swing strike three from Dakota Phillips means it's back-to-back strikeouts to start out the inning for Jacob Smith. And with two down, David Mindham will have to try to start a two-out rally here.
Number 34, David Mindham.
If need be, Justin Felix, Mason White, Alex Adams, the Otter bats that would be following after David Mindham. Mindham reached in his one other appearance so far this evening. It was a one-out walk in the second inning, but a strikeout and a flyout from Felix and White ended the threat immediately, as he was one of three Otters who have reached first base and gone no further. Ball one starts us off as Jacob Smith, as he's done for most of the evening, taking his time up there on the mound. As time expires, he throws the second pitch, and this one touches the top half of the zone for a called strike one, and evens our count at 1-1 strike. Mindham extended his on-base streak to 8 games. He has a lot of work to do to reach his season-long 26 from earlier in the season. He barrels this one out past the second baseman Dawson, and it is a 2-out single for the midseason All-Star MVP David Mindham. And just like that, the Otters have their first hit of the ball game. It took 3 innings and some change, but Jacob Smith's brief no-hitter has come to an end, and now the Otters have their eyes set on him. Second time through the order, this is where you've got to start really figuring out a pitcher and making him pay. First pitch to Felix, stays inside for ball one. Mindham, when you first look at him, does not strike you as the type of guy who's going to try to steal bases here and there, but right after he was named a All-Star reserve player, the next game he had 2. The game after that he had 2. So immediately he started doing a little bit more. I don't know if any of that was kind of, hey, acknowledge my skill a little bit more, but I think it certainly works that way to kind of show off to the league what type of player he is. He's very versatile as we get some more lightning show happening out there beyond the left field wall. Swinging strike one from Justin Felix takes our count to 2-1. Not only did Mindham do that, he went to the All-Star game, was the West Division starting designated hitter. He had 2 doubles in the game, scored the first run for the West Division. All of that came together for a All-Star game MVP honor. Swinging strike 2 from Felix was a little bit ahead of that breaking pitch. The wind switching directions again, and of course that's bringing some of this warm, balmy air in towards the press box, and I'm sure throughout our seating semicircle here at Bosse Field. Certainly a warm evening out here. First pitch was 89 degrees, but it feels up into the high 90s. 2-2. bounces in, and Justin Felix is going to get to see a full count pitch. Huge opportunity to extend this inning and to start one by one, clawing into this lead. Step one was finding your way to the hit column. The Otters have done that. Now it's finding your way into the run column and doing so with consistency. Don't got to score all 7 right here. Full count, payoff pitch to Felix. It is dribbled foul back towards the Boomers duggout after this one was half swung on and hit off the handle of the bats. So we take these 20 seconds to regroup. Jacob Smith already has the call he likes from his catcher. Peering over towards first. Pitch comes home. Bounces in. Ball 4. There's 2 runners on for the Otters. Here with 2 outs on a Deerhead sidewalk, cafe and bar. It brings up the right fielder, Mason White. And there might not be a guy on this entire team who is as hungry for something right now. He's had a couple of games that have just not favored him well. A great opportunity now for him to say, hey, the slump's over. I'm ready to hit the ground running again. Grab myself a couple of RBIs potentially here. The most important thing is to get yourself on base and keep that bus moving. Mendham got it started, put the key in the ignition with that hit. Felix is able to leg himself out a long at-bat walk. And after a quick conversation on the mound from Nick Odo, there from the Boomers, goes out to talk with his pitcher, Jacob Smith. All is well, and now here comes Mason White. He flew out to center his last time up. It was a hard-hit ball, but like a lot of his, you hate to call what he's going through a slump, because every time he's putting contact on the ball, it's really hard hit. It's just, unfortunately, at the wrong guys at the wrong time. First pitch, catches the zone for a called strike 1. White not so sure about it, but he'll settle in now for the second pitch. Korbacher still warming up out there in the right field pen. Second pitch is well outside for ball 1. Evens our count. 1 ball, 1 strike. With him still out there warming up for the Otters, I would imagine Chip Korbacher will enter this game. We've seen Jacob Meyer the last couple of innings. A 1-1 to White. This one's hit very high, but it's going to stay in the infield. DePretta Johnson underneath it, basically in the third baseman's area, and he brings it in for out number 3. And despite a couple of guys getting on for the Otters, nothing able to happen with it. We head to the 5th inning. Schaumburg still leading this one by a touchdown. Call to the bullpen. Chipper Korbacher in out of the bullpen for the Otters, and he will look to keep this scoreless outing for the bullpen alive as Jacob Meyer came in, did his job, despite allowing a couple of his inherited runners to score, was able to keep things fairly simple, and then in his next 2 innings keeps the Boomers off the board. First pitch is high for ball 1 from Chipper, and a little bit more on Korbacher, a California native. He's been a fun guy to get to know. His final year of collegiate ball was this spring. He went on to play in the NAIA World Series. And in his graduate season, he had a 3.33 ERA, and the lowest whip on the team was even a third-team All-American. He also was part of a scoreless bullpen game against Florence. That was on the 25th. He pitched 2 full innings, gave up just 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. He's certainly going to look to keep that going. And he starts off with a 1-1 count against Paxton Wallace. So Chip Korbacher sends home the 1-2. This one is hit hard out towards right. Long run for White, and he's able to bring it in right as he's approaching the warning track, maybe 10 feet shy of that right field line. And it's out number 1.
Left fielder, 11, Aaron Simmons.
Brings up Aaron Simmons, the left fielder. He reached on a fielder's choice back in that big second inning and came home to score during the single from Tyler DePreta Johnson that Randy Bednar overran. And on the overrun, that's what allowed Simmons to score. First pitch home is a called strike on the inside edge, right at the knees. A light storm. I guess I say light. There is some heavy winds with it, but it is well to our east now. Completely missed us here at the ballpark, but because of it, we are seeing a little bit of lightning out there beyond the center field wall along the horizon out there. 1-1 the count to Aaron Simmons. After this at-bat, we'll get to the final line from Jacob Meyer, as this is ball 2, stays outside. Meyer has done this time and time again. He did it for the University of Evansville. He's been doing it here for the Otters. He can get called upon at any time during a game, and he's going to come in and do his job regardless of what is asked from him by Max Peterson. It's exactly what you want out of a bullpen guy, and it's really what you want out of a young bullpen guy, because it proves that they're really able to work with just about anything their pitching coach is desiring of them, can make them a really good piece to build off of for years to come. And hopefully we get to see a couple of these guys stick with the Otters for a couple of years following their time with the University of Evansville. It is a 1-out walk for Aaron Simmons that allows him to get on, and because of that, Korbacher will have to work around a little bit. Seeing a couple of comments on our YouTube stream. I believe that's Keith Milliken joining in. Keith, good to have you on the broadcast. We miss you here in Evansville, part of our front office staff up until last year. Hanging out down in his dream home of Charleston now. And Cindy, I see your message as well. As far as I know, Kyle is in good spirits, doing well. He did stop by after everything, and I think he was just a bit shaken up. So we're just making sure that everything's good, you know, emotionally, physically, and I'm sure he'll be back with and ready to go tomorrow. So thank you for your well wishes. I'll make sure we pass them along to him. 0-2 the count for the catcher, Jake Meyer. A little bit of a wait here. 5 seconds left for Korbacher to send this one home. And as time is almost expiring, it bounces over Felix. And because it does work its way into the dugout, time is officially called, and they just go ahead and award Simmons that extra base. It'll likely be a wild pitch, as that one did bounce in. Take a second to walk you through the final line for Jacob Meyer. And now that they're going to have a quick conversation at the mound, we'll get to it now. Meyer goes 2 innings and 2/3, allows just 1 hit, no runs. Unfortunately, walks 2. and strikes out one. The one strikeout was looking against Paxton Wallace. That led off that third inning, which was the perfect way to kind of slam the door on things after that big second. 1-2 the count to the Schaumburg catcher, Jake Meyer. The runner on second is Aaron Simmons here with one out. The 1-2 from Korbacher. This one's hit high, mid-deep towards center. Zinn's backing up from second base. White steps in from right, and it's actually Delvin Zinn who actually ends up having the ball come into his glove, and him and White meet out there and bump gloves. So luckily all is well after that. That's one of those scary plays that you got to get the communication settled. That's an easy way for guys to get injured. We saw it in the the season opener for the Otters up in Windy City all the way back on May the 9th as Patrick Lee and Mike Peabody ran into each other on a play that could have ended the game. So obviously want to make sure guys are not only staying safe, but getting those important outs. The wind has shifted again here, by the way. It's coming straight in from center field, and it's actually a really cool breeze. So that storm's starting to let off some of its cooler air, and hopefully that'll make this a little bit more pleasant an evening for some of the fans here, as it was a hot night to start. The 0-1 to Tyler DePreta Johnson. Sent on the ground to the right side. It's going to get past Dakota Phillips. White's charging it. The long throw in towards home. Felix brings it in, but just beating the throw is going to be Aaron Simmons. A great throw out there from Mason White. It was just a little bit short. Felix wasn't able to apply a tag. So it is an RBI single for Tyler DePreta Johnson.
Hoosier Lottery strikeout batter.
It's the first run scored since that big second inning, and allows the Boomers to extend their advantage a bit. Sole man on is DePreta Johnson at first. The first pitch to the leadoff man, Christian Fedko, rides in towards his head. He's able to get his face out of the way, though, and it's just ball one. The 1-0. And this one finds the zone as well and evens our counts. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chip Korbacher looking to settle things down after allowing a run here in his first inning of work. One hit down the right field line. It is going to get himself well foul and ends up bouncing just over the shoulder of Duncan Hewitt, the bullpen catcher for the Otters. It ends up actually not only clearing his shoulder, but clearing the fence, and a couple of kids go running out towards it for a souvenir. A little moment that they won't forget. The 1-2 to Fedko. Stays just a bit high, and the deuces are going to be wild. Pivotal at-bat here, as I'm sure Korbacher wants to slam the door here after allowing that 2-out RBI single. Another ball is fouled up and away to the right side for a overhead foul ball, which are all brought to you by Heads Construction here. Nearing the halfway point in this one. Korbacher trying to deliver the Otters to it. A quick check at first. The 2-2 home. This one's hammered down the left field line, but it's going to keep holding its line towards the foul area. Nearly got one of the police officers that patrols the area able to get himself out of the way, and Bednar will grab it and toss it to a lucky fan out in the left field picnic area, which are some great places to watch the game. We still do have a few availabilities for picnics, so if you want to bring a group out, 812-435-8686. One of our wonderful salesmen would be happy to help set you up with a great night at the ballpark. 2-2 home to Fedko. A half swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, says the first base umpire, Miguel Cruz. It's a strikeout swinging to end the inning. And with it, we head to the bottom half of the fifth. One more run scores. The Boomers up 8 in this one. For landscape design that is truly unique, look to locally owned Wild Horticulture. Whether you need a team to design and construct a large-scale landscape project for your business or looking to create an epic backyard retreat, look at wildspaces.com. You've probably seen their creative works all over town and even here at the ballpark. If you walk in there, right there up front. So thankful to our friends at Wild Horticulture for their partnership this season and every season. Alex Adams kicking things off here in the home half of the fifth inning. Starts out with ball one. It's kind of a quick couple of pitches from Jacob Smith, which is a little bit different from what we've seen the rest of the game so far. 5 seconds between, basically coming off that clock between that first and second pitches, and it's a 1-1 count for Adams. The 1-1 works a little high, takes us to 2-1. Looks like they have suspended play at Sussex County. I'm guessing the rain that has affected a lot of the other games in the Northeast has also affected them. It was 5-1 Miners over the Capitals in the top of the fifth, but things are paused for right now. 3-1 now the count after the low pitch. Elsewhere in the league, Gateway up 7-3 against New Jersey in the bottom of the sixth. Lake Erie trailing 9-6 at Florence in the top of the eighth. 3-1 stays low, and Adams is going to get himself ball four. We'll head to first with a Deerhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar to kick things off. That's your job as a 9-hole man leading off an inning. Do whatever you can do to get yourself on base safely, because now it means the guys at the top of the lineup, the guys that are there to get on, get around, get home, are now doing so with a man already on. So Delvin Zinn, Gary Mattis, Paven Park's the next due up, and there's a man on first with nobody out. First time the Otters have had someone on with no outs so far. Zinn's going to put one up and over the top of our roof here for strike one. Zinn flew out to right field and fouled out to the first baseman already in this game. It was an impressive play from Calarco over there. The 0-1 to Zinn. Catches the inside edge. Just like that, an 0-2 advantage for Jacob Smith, who has been tremendous in this game. A ton of fun to watch. Home half of the fifth. Pitch comes home. A little too far inside for ball one. To anyone who has switched over to the home feed, potentially from our away feed, we'd like to apologize for our technical difficulties. We are working to get those solved as soon as we can to get you back on the air with Tim Calderwood, the voice of the Boomers and one of my good friends. Foul ball sent up into the, or just past the light stanchion on the first base side of things. And the count remains at 1 ball, 2 strikes for Delvin Zinn here. Nobody out. A man at first is Alex Adams. A chance for the Otters to slowly work their way back into this one. The 1-2 home. This one's hit down the left field line. It's going to be fair. Delvin Zinn's going to have at least a single, but because Adams can't advance past second, it is just the one bag. Put that one perfectly over the third baseman Wallace's head, down that left field line. And the first two men have reached here in the fifth inning. Brings up the center fielder, Gary Mattis. He reached in the third inning on a hit by pitch, flew out to right his first time up. But now, 2 men on, nobody out for Gary. Might see him try to use this speed. Not showing bunt. In fact, he swings hard at the first pitch. Foul tipped it into the glove for strike one. Mattis has reached base in 7 straight games. He has reached base in 11 straight games, and he's got hits in 7 straight. So he's reached base in this game to make it 12 straight, but he is still looking for that hit to make it 8 straight. The Otters still working with just 2 hits. The one you just saw or heard from Delvin Zinn, and then the single from David Mindham back in that 4th inning. 2 men on, nobody out for Mattis. Another hard swing. He was in front of this one, anticipating the fastball, and he got the breaking ball from Jacob Smith. Jacob Smith is approaching the 100 pitch line, but he doesn't really seem to have slowed down any. A 1-2, home to Gary Mattis. Bounces in, and the count's even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Delvin's in at first, Alex Adams at second, with a really good part of the order coming to the plate now. So if you can keep that line moving, you're going to do things right. Mattis, Parks, Bednar, Phillips, Mendham, all of these guys coming up right after Mattis now. So you've got to keep this bus moving. 2-2 home. Ooh, a really close pitch. Mattis lays it off, and he's going to get ball 3. And the full count now. That is a really tough pitch to lay off of as a hitter. Mattis might have been helped by the fact that he does stay really low to the ground. Crouches with the knees almost at a 90-degree bend. A payoff pitch. Inside, able to get Gary to swing at that one. And it's strike 3. First strikeout of the game for Gary Mattis. That is a tough pitch to look at from Jacob Smith. He puts it in the perfect place, and Mattis is not able to make contact. And it's out number 1. Still 2-1 as Pavin Parks heads to the plate. Enters the game batting .333. Walked in the first inning, flew out to left to end the third inning. Pavin, a two-way player who also picked up a save in Sunday night's game here against Lake Erie, with 3 outs recorded on the mound, including a strikeout to end things, which seems like every time he grabs a save for the Otters, he ends it emphatically with a strikeout. 0-1 count to Pavin Parks, the Otters shortstop. Man on first, man on second, just 1 out. Heavy swing from Parks. Comes up empty, however. And now he's going to have to defend. Again, this the series opener because of last night's severe thunderstorm that came rolling through here right at game time. And moved yesterday's game into a doubleheader tomorrow, starting at 5:05. The 0-2 stays high and outside. Pretty much a see if he'll go chase pitch. Parks did not. The count goes to 1-2. There is a man starting to warm up for the Boomers in that left field pen. Looks like Cole Stallings starting to throw. 1-2 to Parks. Thought about swinging. It stayed away. And it's ball 2. The count is even at 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Zinn at first, Adams at second. The Otters have to find a way to get at least 1 here. 2-2 to Parks. It gets away from the catcher. The wild pitch goes zooming to the left side of the catcher Meyer. And both runners advance for the Otters. Adams now at third, Zinn now at second. In a real dangerous spot with Pavin Parks at the plate. He has 18 RBI on the season, a chance to add to it now. So the Boomers do you a favor to move the runners. Now it's all about finding a way to bring them home. 3 balls, 2 strikes for Pavin Parks with 1 out here in the home half of the 5th inning. Pitch comes home from Smith. It's hit up the middle. A diving grab from Dawson at second. My goodness. Works out to his right side, extends the body, and brings it in for a huge out number 2. Pavin Parks would have had at least 1 RBI had it got past, potentially even 2, and it's ripped away from him. So Randy Bednar will head to the plate. 2 outs, 2 in scoring position. Another huge opportunity for a man who has picked up a ton of RBI along the season. 18 for Pavin, who's unable to make anything happen, and then 33 on the season for Randy Bednar. A lot of those have come on the big home runs he hit through a lot of May and June. He had 10 home runs at the All-Star break, has been unable to find another one since. 1-0 the count for Bednar. This one's outside in the left-handed batter's box for ball 2. And a quick conversation on the mound as Nick Odo will head out from the Schaumburg dugout. There is a man warming up, but I would imagine that we will not see a move here, as this is more just a see what's going on, refresh the mind of Jacob Smith, who at least for a little bit of that meeting had a smile on his face. Odo only spent about 10 seconds up on the mound. He's already back to the dugout as the meeting between pitcher and catcher battery is just concluding. So here we go. 2-0 the count to Randy Bednar with 2 outs and 2 on. An opportunity for the Otters to find the run column for the first time tonight. A 2-0 home. Way up high and barely grabbed by the catcher Meyer. 3-0 the count now to Bednar. And we'll see what the decision is from the head man, Andy McCauley. Does he have a green light? Or is it Bednar's opportunity to just stand back and force Smith to make a good pitch? The 3-0 home. Inside ball 4. The bases are loaded for the Otters. Good patience from Bednar to pick up the Deerhead Sidewalk Cafe and Bar. So the Otters have done the little things right in this inning. They've got guys on by being patient, got a walk, got a really tough single after a long at-bat. After a couple of outs, they get another walk to load the bases, and the big bat of Dakota Phillips heads to the plate. First pitch coming home. It's a called strike. Dak kind of looked like he was going to take the whole way there just to see one and readjust. Third time through the order for Jacob Smith. 2 strikeouts so far on the day for Phillips. Able to make contact this time. Foul tips it back into the netting, and it's another 0-2 count for him. So Dak will try to avoid a strikeout and instead bring a man home, if not more. The 0-2 on its way home to Phillips. On the outside at ball 1. The way that our home plate umpire, Gary Glover, stood up to give the 1-2 count almost made it look like he was going to ring him up. Instead, it's ball 1. Now a 1-2. This one again in that opposite batter's box. And, you can't fault this from Jacob Smith. This is a guy you struck out twice already in the game. You're up 0-2. Give him some stuff in the other batter's box to swing at and force Dakota Phillips into being very disciplined out there. Now Dak a little bit more in control of things at 2-2. He's probably still going to have to fight anything close away. But first, Jacob Smith's going to step off and re-up. The clock probably winding down a little faster than he hoped. Bases loaded, 2 outs. 2-2 count for Dakota Phillips. The pitch on its way home. Swinging strike 3, and Jacob Smith able to get out of another jam. So the Otters getting guys on base, not able to bring one home yet. We're through 5. Schaumburg leading this one 8-0. Fans, you can visit EvansvilleOtters.com under the Game Day tab to find our digital Game Day program. The program features season information, Otters insider stories, a kids page, and additional information from some of our 2024 sponsors. We'd like to issue another apology to those looking for the road stream right now, as we are working to get that back up and running for you. Get you back on the airwaves with Tim Calderwood, as we are here in the top of the 6th inning. Boomers leading this one 8-0 over the Evansville Otters. Chip Korbacher out for his 2nd inning of work. The first pitch ends up behind Brett Milazzo, the leadoff man. Milazzo has reached on 2 of his 3 plate appearances so far, both on walks. His first inning plate appearance ended in a ground out to short. He came around to score as part of that big 2nd inning. 1-0 pitch home, stays inside, but this time it's in front of Milazzo. No movement in the Otters bullpen as of right now. They're going to stick with Chipper for now. As for the Boomers, things have slowed down in that left field pen, but I would imagine we will see an arm shortly, as over the 100-pitch line is Jacob Smith. Called strike for Korbacher means we're at a 2-1 count against Brett Milazzo here. Next pitch on the way. Korbacher starting to work a little bit quicker, as once again the air is starting to get hot again here, as we had a little bit of a cool breeze coming off the storm that passed to our east. That breeze has slowed down considerably, and another pitch on the inside. This one catches Milazzo on the back, and a hit by pitch will award him first base to kick off this top half of the 6th inning. A little bit of a slam of the bat, as Milazzo not too happy with the hit by pitch there. A couple of fans shouting out their support for Chipper, as he now has to work with a man on base behind him. First pitch home to Chase Dawson. In there for a called strike. Dawson had a wonderful diving grab out on the defensive side of things as out number 2 in that home half of the 5th inning. One of the more impressive layout catches you'll see. 0-1, stays just a hair low and probably also on the inside edge to even our count at 1 ball, 1 strike. We conclude the series tomorrow at a 5:05 first pitch. We'll have a doubleheader coming at you here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Baseball. A called strike, too, as halfway down the line was Brett Milazzo. He looked like he lost his footing and was able to get back to first. Felix probably had the chance to throw down there if he wanted, but he risked the throw past Phillips and just altered not to throw it down there. 1-2, the count to Chase Dawson. Korbacher fires at home, and it bounces in to even the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. From this angle, it almost looked like it caught Dawson in the knee. Obviously, it didn't, as he's staying down there. Could have been a costly hit by pitch to give 2 men free passes to start off the inning. Chipper's still got a chance, though, to kind of control the pace of play here in the top of the 6th. Fires back over to first just to keep Milazzo honest. Milazzo is 3 for 6 on the season in stolen base attempts. Ballpark has fallen a little bit quieter between the rain chances that were starting to kind of threaten things pregame and just a brutally hot day here in Evansville, as that heat index was sitting at and above 100 degrees for most of the day. Not a lot of fans able to make it out tonight, but certainly a good group who have braved the elements. Ball high and outside to take our count to full. Chase Dawson looking at a 3 ball, 2 strike count with a man on and nobody out here in the top of the 6th inning. Another chance for the Boomers to add to this advantage. 3-2 home. This one's hit high out towards center. Mattis having to charge in a bit, but about halfway deep in the outfield, he brings it in for the opening out of this 6th inning. That'll bring up the designated hitter, David Harris, who has had a pretty solid day considering it's only his 3rd game suiting up for the Boomers. Grounded out to 3rd to end the 1st inning, but then as a part of that big 2nd, he had a sacrifice fly RBI that not only scored a run, but it moved runners from 1st and 2nd to 2nd and 3rd. Not often you see that. He also made it on base via hit by pitch in the 4th. First pitch he sees here just barely misses on that high inside corner for ball 1. Runner at first, Balazzo. Chipper sends home the 1-0. It stays a bit high to take our count to 2 balls, no strikes. Certainly having to limit the damage. The Otters bullpen after Terrence Marin was only able to make it through 1 1/3 innings to start off this game. On the 2-0, a ball hit very hard out towards left, but it did stay well foul. But man, that thing came off the bat in a hurry. So we regroup. Milazzo heads back to first. The count now at 2-1 with an out and 1 on. Top half of the 6th inning for the Boomers. Korbacher sends home the 2-1. A heavy swinging strike, too. Harris wanted to replicate that last swing, and he came up empty-handed. Looked like it was just kind of a race. Who was going to win, the ball getting home or the bat getting around? And Korbacher able to zoom that one past Harris. The 2-2. This one is hit out towards left field. Long run for Randy Bednar, and he slides and makes the grab for out number 2. He had a ton of room to cover, and he almost made that look seamless. He glides over to the ball, brings it in for out number 2, and the Otters with a chance to erase a leadoff hit by pitch. It was the way that often Bill McEwen would describe watching Miles Gordon and Elijah McNamee play the outfield a couple years ago, gliding towards that baseball. They're not sprinting. They're not working too hard. They're just finding a pace that allows them to get to the spot of the ball as soon as it's coming down to be able to make a play on the run and not have to worry about standing and waiting once you've gotten there. Anthony Calarco back up to the plate after a check over to first. First pitch coming home. Swinging strike 1. Let go of the bat with one hand. In fact, he swung so hard around. Otters looking to keep the Boomers off the board, and then once they get the bats back in their hands, claw their way back into this one. Ball stays low and inside to even the count at 1 ball, 1 strike for Anthony Calarco, who was an Otter earlier this year, was released, went back home to the Chicago area, and has now found a home with this Boomer squad. 1-1 pitch on its way. This one's fouled off towards the left side. It's going to get well out of Bossy Field's premises. With that, the count at 1-2. Chip Korbacher, a chance to end the inning here with what started with a leadoff hit by pitch. Then he kind of fell behind in the next at bat. A hard hit ball towards second. Zinn makes the grab on one hop, fires over to first pretty simply for out number 3. And the leadoff base runner will not come back to haunt the Otters. We head to the home half of the 6th. Evansville looking for some offense. Still plenty of chances to see the Otters here at historic Bossy Field. Tomorrow, a doubleheader beginning at 5:05 with this Schaumburg Boomers team. We're making up the game from yesterday, and then the New Jersey Jackals come to town for a 3-game series. It's the final time the Otters will see an East Division opponent this year before they head on the road for a 9-game road trip. But then don't worry, they're right back here at Bossy Field after that 9-game road trip for the final 9 games of the season, or at home at least, here from August 16th to the 25th. As for the Boomers, they head home tomorrow, or on Friday, to face off against the Gateway Grizzlies and then eventually Windy City. So some must-win games for both of these squads to keep working their way up the standings. We have a pitching change in the half inning as Cole Stallings enters. He'll face David Mindham as his first man out of the pen. Stallings, a righty out of Lithia, Florida, pitched at Stetson earlier this year. Mindham on the second pitch sends one very high, but it will get out of play and foul to even our count at 1 ball and 1 strike. It does close the book on the day for Jacob Smith. He goes 5 complete innings, giving up no runs on 2 hits. He walked 5, but struck out 7. He threw 112 pitches, and 62 of those were strikes, leaving 40 to be balls. 1-1, now since fair by Mindham, charging against the third baseman Wallace, and he does make the grab eventually in foul territory for out number 1. And a good way to start for Cole Stallings. 5 full innings from Smith, and honestly, could have gone a whole lot more if he was able to keep that pitch count low. It's why quite often, especially in the lower levels of baseball, you hear more and more the whole thinking that you don't have to get on base for it to be a successful at-bat. Working a pitcher's pitch count up is a successful at-bat, because now we see the Otters with a chance to get to the Boomers bullpen. If they're able to do some damage there, it proves worthy to make some of those at-bats go a little bit longer earlier in the game against Jacob Smith, who was wheeling and dealing up there on the mound. Justin Felix sees ball 1, and now ball 2, this one up high. So far on the day, Felix 0 for 1 with a strikeout and a walk back in the 4th inning. He was stranded on first, however, after that walk in the 4th. 2-0 home. Very close to a strike. Must have just barely missed on the high edge. Three ball, no strike count to Justin Felix. Pitch coming home. It does find the zone for a called strike. As long as you can keep it fairly close, you're going to get a strike call a lot of the time on the 3-0, especially if the hitter kind of shows no interest. Cole Stallings sends home the 3-1. Sent very high, but foul and out of play. Take the count now to full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Some more movement for the Otters in their bullpen, which might mean Chip Korbacher's day has come to an end. It's Ryan Wiltsey throwing out there, another arm who has not appeared in some time. 3-2 swung on and missed by Justin Felix, and he sat down with a strikeout for the second time today. So we're back to the right fielder, Mason White, who got good contact on the ball in the second inning, but it was right at the center fielder, Brett Milazzo. And then he ended up with a pop-up in the 4th inning that the shortstop ended up bringing in, even though it was basically right where the third baseman, Paxton Wallace, is standing. First pitch home, stays inside for ball 1. To Mason White, who played some high school ball here while attending Evansville Central, which is just a couple of miles to the north of us. Then attended IU Southeast under current hitting coach Joe Natterman, who was also a coach there at Southeast. Fouls one back to even the count at 1-1. And man, White hit the ground running when he joined the team, kind of gave a spark right away. And then, as expected, with some guys playing in their first professional season, kind of hit a little bit of a slump, and now he's just hoping to get one hit that's really going to right the ship for him. Another foul back into the netting. He's making good contact very often. A lot of his outs have been good hit balls, but they've been right at an outfielder or unfortunately right at a open glove in the infield. The 1-2 for White. This one's fouled off towards the left side, but it's going to get out of play and overhead for another foul ball. Count as 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's 2 outs and nobody out. Or apparently, apologize, 2 outs. Nobody on is what I mean. And it could be the first time today that the Otters are unable to get a man on base. The 1-2. Fouled back into the netting once again. Mason White being a pesky hitter up there. Certainly making Cole Stallings earn this 3rd out if that's what comes from it. Just past 2 hours and 25 minutes in this game, only in the 6th inning. Things moved rather slowly in that 2nd inning with the amount of runs that were able to come through for Schaumburg. And since then, despite it being a lot of zeros on the scoreboard, a lot of pitchers have really taken their time tonight, working slowly, working late into that pitch clock, and because of that, has extended the game time a bit. Count now at 2-2 for Mason White. 2 outs, nobody on in the home half of the 6th inning. The 2-2. Pushed out towards the left side, and Wallace looked like he was going to make a run towards it. It ends up bouncing in foul territory, and I don't think Wallace would have made it all the way over there had he stayed full sprint. What was at stake for the Otters tonight, if they could find a win, they'd be at 500 at home, 17-17. But they're going to have a lot of work to do here in the back third of this one to get to that point. Mason White sends this one weakly out towards left field, and it's brought in by Simmons, and he threw the bat afterwards, upset with the contact on that one. We head to the 7th. Evansville held without a base runner for the first time tonight. Into the back third of this one we go. Schaumburg leads 8-0. Ryan Wiltsey in out of the bullpen to relieve Chip Korbacher as we kick off this 7th inning with a foul ball out of play by Paxton Wallace. 0-1 home. This one rides high and inside. Ryan Wiltsey Had a tremendous spring at St. Mary's College in California. Had a 2.60 ERA in his 55 innings of work. Falls behind now 2-1 though. His last appearance came against Lake Erie. On that Saturday night game, he allowed 3 runs, but they were all unearned. Hard hit ball up the middle, and Haven Parks can't quite get to it, and it's through for a leadoff single from Paxton Wallace to kick off this top half of the 7th inning.
11, Aaron Simmons.
So Aaron Simmons heads to the plate, and he has reached on 2 of his 3 opportunities. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 2nd, came around to score. He also reached on a walk in the 5th inning, and then a wild pitch put him in scoring position before Tyler DePreta Johnson brought him home. There was a close play towards home, but he was able to beat out the throw from Mason White from right field. A pitch dives into the dirt from Wiltsey and is not able to hit the zone. So Simmons starts out with a 1-0 count. The 1-0 hit very hard out towards center. Retreating back is Gary Mattis. Settles underneath it and brings it in for the first out of this one. Simmons had really good wood on that. Sounded good off the bat.
16,
However, with the thick wind or the thick humid air and the breeze slightly blowing in, it was able to keep it in the field of play. That'll bring up Jake Mayer. Runner at first is Paxton Wallace. He led off with a single in the inning. First pitch home, and it's sent out towards center field. Mattis takes a couple steps in, a couple steps back, and brings it in for out number 2. A first pitch out, and it's back-to-back flyouts to the center fielder.
Shortstop, 8, Tyler.
To the 9 hole we go.
Johnson.
Shortstop Tyler DePreta Johnson heading to the plate. And he has 2 singles for the Boomers so far. Had an RBI single in the 2nd. Came around to score later in the inning, and then had that RBI single in the 5th to give an extra run of insurance to the Boomers. First pitch he sees is high and inside for ball 1. One-0 home to DePreta Johnson. It's sent out towards right. Drops in front of Mason White for a single. And with 2 outs, the Boomers are able to add a second base runner. Today, tomorrow, the last games between these 2 here at Bosse Field this year. However, they still have 8 more contests after tonight, the 2 tomorrow, and then 6 games to be played at Wintrust Field in Schaumburg, Illinois. They'll play 3 as a part of the 9-game road trip that begins next week, and then they'll play 3 in the final 5-game road trip that ends the season there in the last week of August. So a lot of chances still to see these 2 teams compete. The problem is if you live in Evansville, only one more day to see these 2 against each other. First pitch to Christian Fedko, high for ball 1. The leadoff man, Fedko, has reached safely twice, once with a walk, once with a fielder's choice, and he's scored on one of the 2 occasions. Wiltsey taking his time before the 1-0 pitch home. In there for a called strike 1, right down the pipe. Maybe work towards the lower side of the zone. Regardless, a nice pitch to get yourself a important first strike against a very confident leadoff man. Fedko foul tips it back towards Felix, and the count goes to 1 ball, 2 strikes. Long wait for Wiltsey between pitches here now. The 1-2. This one's hit hard out towards left. Bednar will retreat back towards the warning track, brings it in right as his feet switch surfaces from the grass to the warning track dirt. Able to bring it in for out number 3. 2 base runners don't come back to do anything against the Otters. We are stretching in Evansville. Home half of the 7th coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network. Into the home half of the 7th inning. And the Otters work to do here in the back third of this one. No runs end up scoring after a couple of base hits for the Boomers in the top half. Alex Adams gets us started here. And the first pitch he sees, he fouls off towards the left side past his field manager, Andy McCauley. Good contact, just too far to the left side foul. His last time up was the 5th inning, and he reached with a walk, ended up reaching third as the bases at one point were loaded in that inning. Otters unable to bring anyone home. Next pitch here misses and evens our count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Looks like the Otters have another arm warming up. Griff Hughes, I believe it is, down there in that right field pin. As Adams watches another one stay high for ball 2. Takes our count to 2 balls, 1 strike. The 2-1. Ooh, another one high and inside, and Adams kind of has to dive out of the way as the count goes to 3 balls, 1 strike. These teams battle 2 more times tomorrow. A doubleheader beginning at 5:05, 2 7-inning contests with about 35 minutes between the two. Dribbler down the left field line. It goes off the third base bag, well into the left field area. Here comes Adams around first, and he's got himself a leadoff double. A rocket shot down the left field line goes off the bag, similar to what we saw on Sunday against Lake Erie from the Otters. And it's the perfect way to start the inning. A man in scoring position with the top of the order coming up to hit. Delvin Zinn batting first. He's 1 for 3 on the day, had a single in the 5th. Probably could have been a double if he was the first runner up. Unfortunately, Adams wasn't able to get around second to third. But if it's just Delvin Zinn, the hit he had, he probably could have gotten a double on if he doesn't have to keep himself safe with the guy in front. First pitch to him is outside for ball 1. One-0, hit very high out towards the right side. Dropping back is Dawson, the second baseman, and he'll make the catch in very shallow right field.
Center fielder.
So now Gary Mattis coming up with 1 on, 1 out. Man in scoring position for him. First pitch outside, ball 1. Again, Ryan Wiltsey came in to pitch the top half of the 7th. But it does look as if there's a chance we have another pitching change as Griff Hughes is warming up in that right field area. Hard hit ball towards short. DePreta Johnson plays it on 1 hop. It was hit on a rocket right towards him, and he's able to make an easy play over to first for the 2nd out of the game, or of the inning, against Gary Mattis this time.
Shortstop.
And with that, Paven Parks, the shortstop, heads to the plate. Was robbed of a potential RBI base hit in the 5th inning. Hit a hard ball back up towards the middle, and the second baseman, Dawson, made a diving grab to grab out number 2 and keep both runners at 2nd and 3rd, respectively. He pushes one to the left side, but it's well foul for the first pitch and first strike of the at-bat. Long wait for the 0-1. Parks zooms it now to the right side, but it is once again foul.
Ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to let you know we will not have running of the
So now he's just got
bases
to
postgame. We will not have
split the
running of the
difference,
bases
find
postgame.
a way to
We
keep it
apologize
up
for
the
the
middle.
inconvenience, but join us tomorrow for that opportunity after our doubleheader. No running of the bases postgame.
So again, the time runs down on that pitch clock, under 10. Stallings opting to take a little extra time before the 0-2 home to Parks. Stays high for ball 1. So Parks able to keep himself alive after letting one go by for a ball after his first 2 strikes he saw were 2 that he put just narrowly foul down both sides. Has to center one up and put it into play here. 1-2. Stays low, and the deuces are wild. Otters trying to not let a leadoff double from Alex Adams go to waste, as the third baseman and 9-hole hitter sent one off the third base bag. The 2-2 to Parks. This one's hit hard out towards right. Long run for Fedko. He's looking up at the wall. It's gone off the party deck. A 2-run home run for Paven Parks. And the Otters get themselves into the run column. A 2-run home run from Paven Parks was not going to be denied of RBIs this time. Bounces off the party deck in right center field. And just when it looked like there was a chance the Otters were going to let a leadoff double go to waste, Paven Parks says absolutely not. 2-run home run for the shortstop. It's 8-2. First pitch, Bednar sees it's going off out towards shallow center. It drops in for a base hit. So maybe a little bit of spirit put into this Otters squad as on back-to-back pitches, there's base hits, and now a dangerous bat in Dakota Phillips heading to the plate. Dakota Phillips trying to right a 0-for-3 day with 3 strikeouts. He's had some good contact on foul balls, but has not been able to keep one fair yet. First pitch he sees is an eye-level off-speed pitch. Takes things to 1-0. Two-run home run from Paven Parks. The reason the Otters find the scoreboard now. The 1-0, home to Phillips. Well inside, nearly caught the jersey. Takes our count to 2-0. A late evening due to a 31-minute delay due to a slight rain shower that kind of popped out of nowhere and surprised everyone here. 2-0, fouled it back into the netting, but Phillips still ahead in the count. Bednar stands on first after his first pitch single just a few moments ago. 2-1, swinging strike two, and the deuce is wild for Dakota Phillips. A big time pitch here as Phillips certainly wants to keep things alive. A 2-2 hit off towards right. It's going to drop in. That's going to be a single for Dakota Phillips. Bednar on his horse, and he gets all the way around to third. Productive at-bat for Dak, and he ends the rough day at the plate. Single to keep things alive. And with runners on the corners, the dangerous bat now of David Mindham coming to the plate. I said it when Adams had that leadoff double. Dangerous hitters coming up behind him. If that 9-hole hitter can get on base, that's where the lineup can really succeed. Zinn got out on a pop-up. Mattis was out on a ground out, but now Parks with a 2-run home run, and then Bednar and Phillips with back-to-back singles to keep things alive for the Otters. Mindham was named a midseason All-Star by this league and was then named the All-Star MVP. And he has a chance to bring Evansville a little bit closer. If he can get anything down out there in the outfield, it will certainly bring home one. 1-0 pitch home to him. Again, well outside. 2-0 the count. So things at least being put together a little bit for Mindham to have some success here. As we near 10 p.m. local time, a 2-0 pitch comes home to Mindham. This one's dribbled to the right side. Grabbed by the first baseman, Calarco. He'll run back over on his own for out number 3. But not before the Otters finally find the run column. A 2-run blast from Paven Parks. It's 8-2 as we head to the 8th. Top of the 8th inning coming at you here on the Otters Digital Network. The Boomers have been in control of this one since the top of the 2nd inning, but finally some life from Evansville here in the home half of the 7th. Paven Parks with a 2-run home run off the party deck out and right. And the first pitch from Griff Hughes is behind Brett Milazzo. Milazzo hit by a pitch his last time up in the top of the 6th. Also a new arm on the mound, and Griff Hughes for the Otters. He's the 5th arm to be seen. His second pitch stays high for ball 2. It closes the door on Ryan Wiltsey, who went 1 full inning, allowed 2 hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts, and threw just 13 pitches. To Odomalazo. Swinging, strike 1. Some gas behind that pitch from Griff Hughes. Hughes is the sole lefty in the dugout, in the bullpen for the Otters, as he had Leone De La Cruz up until about a month ago. He was dealt over to the Tri-City Valley Cats, who then immediately traded him to the Gateway Grizzlies. So a chance to see Leone later in this season. But now Griff Hughes, the sole arm that is left-handed that can come out of that bullpen for now. 2-2, just barely misses the zone on the high outside edge. Good work from Felix to try to frame it. Instead, it's a full count. And payoff pitch getting set to head that way. 3-2. This one is sent out towards shallow left. Pavin Parks dropping back and makes a grab, maybe not even 5 feet off of the infield dirt. 4 out, number 1.
15, Chase Dawson.
Looks like another chance to see a new arm from the Boomers as Dylan Stutzman is throwing. Stutzman, a big righty out there, getting some warm-up throws in. As the first pitch to Chase Dawson misses for ball 1. 1 out, nobody on here in the top half of the 8th inning. Boomers lead by 6. The 1-0 to Dawson. Hit very hard out towards the foul territory on the first base side, and Dak just doesn't have any room over there as it's well on the roof. And it evens the count. It's a 1 ball, 1 strike. Long wait for Hughes. Now the 1-1 home. Thought about swinging. Holds up, and good thing he did because it's ball 2. So a smart check swing from Dawson. Another pitch misses the zone and takes the count to 3 balls, 1 strike now for Chase Dawson. Dawson reached on a hit by pitch in the second and a single in the first, but since has a ground out and a fly out. 3-1 home. Catches the high corner on the outside edge to bring us to our second full count of this half inning. Three balls, 2 strikes. Hughes likes what he sees, throws it home. Fouled off towards the left side and off towards the parking lot. And we take a few moments as we prep for the next pitch. Hughes nods in towards home. Still waiting. The 3-2. This one sent out towards right. Mason Whittle dropped back a few steps to his right side, brings it in for out number 2. And despite some long at-bats, it's 2 up, 2 down so far in the top of the 8th.
Designated hitter, 21, David Harris.
Back to the cleanup man, David Harris, the designated hitter. Had a sacrifice fly RBI in that top of the second as part of that big inning. In fact, it scored the final run of the inning. Also reached on a hit by pitch in the 4th. First pitch home, and he watches it go past for a called strike 1. Nearly had his eyes in the strike zone as he watched that one all the way in. The 0-1 to Harris. Thought about swinging, held up, and our first base umpire says no, he did not go around. So the count evens. 1 ball, 1 strike. Long wait for the 1-1. Coming to Harris, and he watches it go by for a called strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th inning. Not only was this game delayed due to rain, but it has also just been a longer contest. A lot of pitchers using a lot of their pitch clocks. A lot of pitching change in the game as well. One, two, coming home towards the DH, David Harris. This one is skied off towards the left side of foul territory. And even though there is a country mile over there, Adams is unable to bring it in as it lands on the roof. And the count remains 1-2. So even though there's still a chance that Hughes could face the minimum in the inning, they have been some long at-bats. 1-2, fouled back into the netting. And once again, another foul ball keeps things alive. Going to be a late night and then turn around tomorrow for an afternoon doubleheader that begins at 5 o'clock. The 1-2, and this one hits Harris in the back. Another hit by pitch from this Otters pitching staff has not been the day that they imagined. The bullpen has, for the most part, kept the Boomers off the board, but they've given up some free passes in nearly every inning.
36.
Just about the second 3-up, 3-down inning of the game, David Harris is going to reach first on a hit by pitch and allow Anthony Calarco to return to the plate. He also has a 2-hit day, a single in the second, and then a second single later in the second. Fouls one back into the netting. This is Calarco's first game back at historic Bosse Field since he was released from the Otters earlier this season. Lives in the Chicago area, went back home, found a home with the Boomers. The 0-1, a called strike 2 on the inside edge. Calarco didn't really agree with it. And Griff Hughes, a chance to end this inning without allowing anything. Long wait looking at first. The 0-2 home. Swinging strike 3. And that is how the half inning will end. They throw down to first to make it official after it snuck out of the glove of Felix. We head to the home half of the 8th. Otters trail by 6. Pitching change for the Boomers as we enter the home half of the 8th inning. Dylan Stutzman will come in out of the bullpen. And with it, we have a new battery as he's on the mound. And Meyer behind the plate. Pitcher Catcher Battery brought to you by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Justin Felix, the first man up, and he skies one up and out of play for a foul ball, strike one.
Brought to you by Hess Construction. Choose the best and more credit.
Felix, White, Adams, the three due up here in the home half of the eighth, and it looks like we could have another new arm for the Otters out of the bullpen in the ninth inning. Throwing right now is Alex Valdez, the brand new arm who just had his visa approved a few weeks ago, got everything worked out and was able to make it up here to Evansville, and we're excited to finally get to see what he's made of. He was signed back in March, but just because of the waits that happen with applying for a visa, it took a couple of months to get it approved. Really eager to see what he can bring to the squad now that he is here in Evansville and suited up with the team. The 1-2 to Felix. Again skied up, and it's going to be foul again on top of the roof. Another reminder that 5:05 tomorrow is the first pitch for our doubleheader between these two. We'll have about 35 minutes between the two games. They'll both be 7-inning contests. As right now it looks like the Otters are looking to sweep that to find a series victory, as Schaumburg has done well to hold on to this lead despite a 2-run home run in the 7th inning for Pavin Parks. The Otters have not been able to bring home any of their runners all game despite having just a ton of opportunities with men on base. The 1-2 to Felix. Left alone on the outside edge, and it's even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pitch in there for a called strike 3. Felix let it go on the high outside edge, and Stutzman will start off his day with a strikeout. Brings up Mason White, who's 0 for 3 on the game. A fly out to center, a pop up to short, and a fly out to left. Heavy swinging strike 1 to kick things off. The 0-1 stays high enough to even our count at 1 ball, 1 strike. It's Mason White trying to get himself a hit and end this 3-game skid without one. The 1-1, heavy swinging strike 2, just went right over the top of the ball there. Taking his time is Stutzman up there on the mound. 1-2, foul tipped back into the netting, and Mason White will keep himself alive. Fans trying to give Mason a bit of a boost as he waits on the 1-2. Pitch comes home, works inside for ball 2, and that's a tough one to lay off for White as he wanted to start to come around, but it wasn't near the hands. That probably helped to make it his decision. Ball sent high off towards the left side, but it will get out of play and foul, and we're still even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Slowly digging back in is Mason White. Stutzman ready to deliver on the 2-2. Well inside, and White has to jump backwards to get out of its way. And good work from him to work himself into a full count situation now. Has had to take a couple of tough pitches, including 2 pitches ago that nearly hit the hands, but the whole way home looked like a good pitch. We try the 3-2, and it's fouled off towards the right side, past first base coach really easily, and ends up in the bullpen area, which has been very active so far in this game. The 3-2 home to White. Fouled off toward the left side. Good work to keep himself alive. Had to extend the hands out, push that ball out of play, but with as close as it was to the zone, he had to put some lumber on it. A Let's Go Otters chant trying to give some life to Mason White. 3-2 home. Fouled up and out of play again. A long at-bat here for Mason White. Boy, would it be sweet for him to end up on the right side of this one. Has struggled in the last few games he's appeared in. He's made some good plays out in right field. This would be a great way to tie it off. A half swing, left alone, it's ball 4. A well-earned deer head side walk. Cafe and bar for him. One out walk, and Alex Adams comes to the plate. And he's reached in his last 2 opportunities. Struck out swinging his first time, but then walked in the 5th. Ended up being left at 3rd, and then a leadoff double in the 7th. He ended up being scored by Paven Parks on his 2-run home run. First pitch he sees is a called strike on the inside half. Adams working with 1 man on, 1 man out. 0-1 coming home. Left alone and stays high enough for ball 2. We've certainly had some devoted fans these last 2 days. We say thank you to all of you who have come out and braved the weather with us. 1-1, misses outside for ball 2. Unfortunately, we had to postpone last night's game, but that call didn't come till 7 o'clock. So we say thank you to the fans who came out and braved through that yesterday. And then a similar instance tonight. We had to sit through about 31 minutes of delay during a brief rainstorm after as a 3-0 or 2-1 pitch comes home for ball 3. But our fans have luckily been very patient with us and given an opportunity to cheer these guys on. 1 out, 1 on. They're going to go check on the man at first. Back in plenty of time is Mason White. Three balls, 1 strike to Alex Adams. The pitch comes home. He lasers it to the left side through the infield. And it's another base hit for Alex Adams. A 2-hit day for him. And that's really good to see from Adams.
Leadoff batter, second baseman, number 1, Delvin Zinn.
3rd time Adams has had a 2-hit game here with the Otters. So there's runners at first and second with the Edward Jones leadoff man, Delvin Zinn, heading to the plate. First pitch, high and outside, ball 1. Zinn 1 for 4 on the day with a single in the 5th. He was stranded at second. That ball stays on the outside edge for ball 2. If Zinn can pick up a hit here, it'd be his 8th multi-hit game in an Otters jersey. But it looks like first a conversation out there on the mound as Nick Odo goes out to have a chat with his pitcher, Dylan Stutzman. And as we are in the bottom of the 8th, we'll take one more chance to look at the upcoming schedules for both squads. Of course, you know tomorrow's doubleheader at 5 o'clock. The Otters will stay here and conclude a 9-game homestand with the New Jersey Jackals. Friday, Saturday at usual 6:35. Sunday, the first 12:35 game since May. Keep that in mind that for the month of August, the home games on Sundays, 12:35. Then the Otters hit the road for 9 games to Lake Erie, Gateway, and Schaumburg. And after that 9-game road trip, they're back here for the last 9 games of the home schedule. As for the Boomers, they head home to face Gateway over the weekend, and then they host Windy City to start next week. 2-0 pitch to Zinn. This one's kind of pushed out towards right and able to almost not move at all was Fedko out there and brought in for out number 2. So unfortunately, Zinn's out does not help the Otters at all. No one's able to advance.
Number 23, Gary Adams.
And Gary Mattis now heads to the plate with 2 men on, 2 men out. White stands on second. Adams stands on first. Mattis on the day is 0 for 3 with a hit by pitch as well. First pitch he sees is a called strike. He grounded out his last time up right before Pavin Parks hit that home run. If he can get himself on, maybe another home run in the books for Parks. 0-1 sent straight at DePretta Johnson at short. He'll just go to first for the easy one, and that's out number 3. 2 men get on with 1 out, but nothing comes from it. And we head to the 9th inning here from historic Bosse Field in Evansville, Indiana. Schaumburg leads this one 8-2. Top of the 9th inning, and Alex Valdez makes his Evansville Otters debut. Was signed preseason, but due to visa issues, he was not able to enter the country until just a couple of weeks ago, and the first pitch he throws is low and outside for ball 1. Certainly glad to finally have him here in Evansville to see what he can do. Hails from La Matos de Farfan in the Dominican Republic. First pitch, or the second pitch is lasered to Zinn at second. He makes a spinning grab for out number 1. Delvin Zinn, more and more starting to look like a seamless defender. He made that look so easy out there. And it's out number 1. Aaron Simmons now heads to the plate. Valdez hoping to get 2 more quick outs here. First pitch home to Simmons, stays low and on the inside edge for ball 1. With 1 out, nobody on. A swinging strike 1 from Simmons, as when he decided to swing at that, it looked like it was going to stay up on the plane, but then it fell off the table right as the swing started, and it was quite low by the time the swing was concluded. 1-1 is dribbled to the right side weakly and will end up in the Otters bullpen, or at least almost there. It looks like Michael McAveen or John Beamer, one of the last two men down there in the bullpen, will pick it up and toss it in the bag. The 1-2 to Simmons. Again fouled off back there, and so far it doesn't look like anyone can really get their timing down with Valdez, and that's to be expected with a pitcher that really nobody has any sort of footage or information on. With him being brand new, no one's ever got to see what he's made of. The 1-2 stays on the low inside corner. A lot of the pitches have been in that area. But a lot of them have also, that's one of the ones just now that was more on a direct line, but quite a few of them have fallen off towards the end, is trying to get some movement on them. 2-2, and it's bounced in, but it's swung on and missed by Simmons. They'll toss down to first to make it official. And there's the first strikeout in Valdez's Otters career. And it's 2 outs here in the top of the ninth.
The catcher, 16, Jake Meyer.
That'll bring up Jake Meyer, who has reached just once today on a walk. Came home to score also in that second inning. A ground out, a pop out, and a fly out since his first pitch. High and towards the inside area there from Valdez. His first pitch to the catcher Meyer. The 1-0, that's dribbled foul to the backstop and gets enough kick that it ends up out there in front of the Otters dugout. So far, it looks like Valdez is going to be the type of guy that uses off-speed pitches to force really weak contacts. A half swing from Meyer. He liked it at first. It dove off the table, and it's a half swinging strike two. And now a chance for Valdez to end the half inning with back-to-back Ks. Nobody has been able to really pick up on what he's throwing. The 1-2, home from Alex Valdez. They say no, he did not go around. It was close on the outside edge, but it is going to be there for ball 2, and the count's even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Meyer laid off it, had a maybe quarter of a swing, but that was about it. 2-2, swung on and missed. It's back-to-back strikeouts for Alex Valdez. In his Otters debut, we head to the home half of the ninth. Paven Parks to lead off the bottom of the ninth inning for the Otters. Randy Bednar, Dakota Phillips, the other two due up, and they're met with a brand new pitcher. Mitch White enters the game out of the bullpen, and that closes the book on Dylan Stutzman, who goes 1 full inning, gives up 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. It's the 4th arm used by Schaumburg. Meanwhile, the Otters have used 6, 5 of them out of the bullpen after a very short day from Terrence Marin, who was unfortunately got after quick by this Boomers team. Pavin Park's last time up was a 2-run home run to bring home himself and Alex Adams. That's the only runs that have been scored by the Otters thus far. First pitch to him, upstairs for ball 1. Very light shift being applied to Pavin Parks. Next pitch stays low enough for ball 2. Shortstop Tyler DePretta Johnson is not quite behind second base, but he is just about 10 feet off to the left. It is fairly close off to that bag. 2-0 to Parks, stays high for ball 3. Meanwhile, the second baseman Dawson is almost right in between first and second base, and that allows Calarco to kind of hug towards that first base line. So they're playing for just a little bit of a pull from Pavin Parks. The 3-0 left alone, and it's called strike 1 on the high inside area up towards the hands. The 3-1 outside ball 4, and Parks will get himself a Deerhead sidewalk cafe and bar. It's his second walk of the game and his 3rd time on base. And that's how you have to start any sort of comeback. You got to get the first man on. You can't think of it right now as a 6-run deficit. You've got to think of it as 6 different 1-run deficits. Come at it 1 run at a time, chip at this thing, and you never know what could happen. First pitch home to Randy Bednar. Swings and foul tips it into the glove of Meyer for strike 1. Ready for the 0-1 is Bednar. This one falls in on the outside edge for a called strike 2. And just like that, Bednar with some pressure. Phillips, Mindham, Felix, White, and Adams in that order to follow. The 0-2 to Bednar. This one sent right back up the middle. It's going to get past Dawson, the second baseman, and there's runners at first and second to kick off the bottom of the 9th inning. Bednar just sticks with it, arms this one straight back up the middle, and there are 2 men on with nobody out. It'll bring up Dakota Phillips, a big bat. And to be honest, right now, all you need him to do is just swing the bat, use that big upper body strength he's got to just push something out there and keep this line moving. You're really not as worried about making sure to bringing them all right now. First pitch to Phillips, up high, ball 1. White taking a couple extra seconds before he throws home the 1-0. This one sent out towards left by Dak. Dropping back is Simmons, and he brings it in and then loses the ball quickly on the transfer, but is able to grab out number 1 here in this inning. David Mindham heads to the plate now. He is 1 for 3 on the day, had a walk in the 2nd inning, a single in the 4th, and then a foul out and a ground out in the 6th and 7th. Mindham's goal is very similar to Dakota Phillips. Use that big upper body strength to just push something out in the outfield and keep the line moving. First pitch to Mindham. Big arcing ball that catches the outside area for called strike 1. Good movement on that pitch. 0-1 to Mindham. This one's fouled back towards the netting. And quickly 0-2 for David. The Otters, down to their last 2 outs here, really have not been able to find the big hits in this game. Lots of men on base, not able to bring too many home yet. Ball stays low and takes our count to 1 ball, 2 strikes. 12 men left on so far for the Otters in this one. And if they're unable to bring the 2 on now, it'd bring the total up to 14 at the end of this game. Lots of chances. Still searching for that execution. The 1-2 to Mindham. Way outside, and Meyer probably saved a couple of free bases by getting his arm out there to grab it. Got to imagine the Boomers probably aren't too worried about these 2 runners going anywhere, just in the fact that up 6, you're not too worried about these 2 runs. A 2-2 to Mindham. Sent out towards the left side. It's going to be well foul and end up in the parking lot as he continues to fight and keep himself alive. Here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Otters at risk for bringing the offense to the table just a little bit too late in this one. The 2-2. This one's dribbled to the right side. Dawson to DePrez Johnson for 1. To first in time, and that's how this one will end. A 4-6-3 double play. The Otters are able to get a couple more men on base, but they strand them out there. And after 9 full innings here, it's an 8-2 win for Schaumburg. We take a quick 30-second break on the other side. We quickly break this one down and get you set for the doubleheader tomorrow. It's Otters Baseball on the Otters Digital Network. We'll be right back.
Doubleheader. Game 1 of the 2 7-inning games at 5:05, 35 minutes afterwards, game number 2. We hope to see you then. Please have a safe trip home. Good night, everyone. Go Otters.
And we're back for closing remarks here from Evansville, Indiana, where the Schaumburg Boomers get a series opening victory, 8-2 in this one. It started with a 7-run second inning. They got after starter Terrence Marin. It was enough to chase him from the game, and we saw the first of 5 bullpen arms enter with Jacob Meyer. Following him were Chip Korbacher, Ryan Wiltsey, Griff Hughes, and Alex Valdez, all of them able to throw scoreless innings except Chip Korbacher, who allowed the one other run in the game. Wiltsey, Hughes, and Valdez slammed the door there at the end, but it is just a little too late for the Otters, unfortunately. Good to see Alex Valdez finally make his Otters debut. Got his visa approved. He was activated off the visa inactive list earlier this week. He comes in, grabs an out, and then strikes out the last 2 he sees. So some confidence in him. Hopefully something he can take and move forward into the rest of the games this weekend, as very likely that we could see him a few more opportunities, as he didn't have to throw a ton of pitches. The Boomers did it all on 8 runs, or did all 8 runs on 8 hits, and 1 error from the Otters assisted them. As for Evansville, they scored 2 runs on a 2-run home run from Paven Parks in the 7th inning. That was all the offense that they could muster in the run column. They did it on 8 hits and no errors committed by the Boomers. 13 men left on for the Otters compared to just 9 for the Boomers. That was a big difference maker in the game as well. The Otters got guys on, got them into scoring position. There was just a lot of opportunities that they weren't able to finish the deal and bring them in to score. The winning pitcher in the game belongs to the starter on the Boomers side, Jacob Smith, who was a lot of fun to watch, but because the Otters were able to lengthen some of their at-bats, they made his day short. He was only able to go 5 innings. He gave up no runs on 2 hits. He walked 5 and struck out 7. The loss goes to Terrence Marin, who was chased in that 2nd inning, and because of the deficit, no save is given in this one. The Otters and Boomers continue this series tomorrow with a doubleheader, games 2 and 3. Not only will it conclude the series, it will conclude the series this season at home against the Boomers. Between these two teams, they'll play 6 more times on the road, but it's the last chance to see the Schaumburg Boomers here in Evansville. First pitch comes at you at 5:05. There'll be about 35 minutes between the two games as they'll flip the field before game 2. Pre-game show should be starting right about 4:45 or 4:50, and hopefully Kyle Chandler's back in this chair to guide you through the game. He was not able to make it this evening, and we wish him the best as he takes some time to recover from a minor car accident this afternoon. I also thank him for the opportunity for myself to get a couple of innings on the broadcast, as I've been talking about it all year, and I just haven't made it happen thus far. I do know that I have my parents tuning in, and I thank you guys for all your support over the years. I'm not able to do this without you guys, and Kat's parents as well. I know you guys are tuning in as well. So thank you guys for your support. To Otters fans, we'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. 5:05 is first pitch between these two. From all of us here in the Bossy Field press box, we say thank you for joining us for another edition of Otters Baseball on the Otters Digital Network. Schaumburg takes game 1, 8-2. Games 2 and 3 come at you tomorrow, 5:05 here from historic Bossy Field. God bless and have a great night.